What do you want?
Well, I took a brush out.
Like sugar? I don't know if I want this pineapple or... I haven't tried
Strawberry? Strawberry's really good.
tried strawberry out. Drinking little bitch beers for our podcast.
Hey, brother.
Cheers, man. Oh, so Ivy was telling me about this this podcast where it's like I think it's a porn star, but it's like him and his girlfriend, and then they have another girl on the podcast.
Okay.
And so they do like an hour or 2 hour podcast, and then like turn it off and they go fuck.
After the podcast, all three of them?
Yeah, that's like the whole MO. I was like, holy shit. Well,
That's a whole new, that's like a millennial twist on just regular porn, man.
yeah.
I mean, because I was like,
I know.
it's, hey, let's get to know each other first.
Yeah. Like, but you also know, like, you're going to that podcast.
Like, I'm gonna find out my favorite porn star's deepest, darkest secrets.
Yeah.
The likes and dislikes
And then
before
you do it.
before we actually get down and dirty.
Yeah. Last time I showed that, but I kind of like the idea of, like, Russell coming in.
Yeah,
It's-
no, for
he has a
sure.
nice dynamic.
Yeah, makes sense. It's all good.
Yeah, dude. What are these? I don't fucking try what these.
They're actually, I mean, I don't know if they're just generic brands for the gas station, but
Albanese.
they're good. Gummies, bro. I like gummies. Just regular gummy bears, not like THC gummies, bro. I can't do that shit.
Bro, so
I can't do that shit, man.
we can't do THC, huh?
No,
But you don't really smoke a lot of weed, though.
I don't. That's
Do you want to smoke some weed?
no, that freaks me out, man. I get paranoid.
Dude, that'd be really funny. We like smoked a bunch of weed and then we were just like both sitting here.
The thing about it is this. It's the fact that sometimes like the whole concept of time goes out the window.
Yeah.
And I've had it to where like I'll get high, and I feel like it's been hours,
Yeah.
and it's only been like 5 minutes, and that realization freaks me out.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. That's what like I get anxiety. I'm like, oh no, screw this.
Dude, I don't know if you'd like mushrooms then.
I mean, I've had a little bit of mushrooms, but never really took effect.
Yeah.
I mean, I did
if
something.
they do, that could like really fuck with you. So.
I did some the other day. I think it's just like the whole environment in general. I mean, I'll be honest with you. Like the first time I started like smoking weed and shit, I was like 14,
Yeah.
15. And just because it was like obviously taboo and, you know, it's looked on as like a really bad gateway drug and this and that. And nowadays, it's like, it's whatever, you know, it's going to be legalized within like 2-3 years.
Yeah.
You know, the next administration is probably going to legalize it. Anyways, so back then it was more like, oh shit. So it felt like, again, when I would first smoke it, I felt really bad because it was like, oh man, like I'm going against like my parents' wishes and, you know, my morals and this and that. And the first time I smoked it, like I was very put off by it because the whole environment wasn't right.
Yeah.
I just like felt off. And then the second time I smoked, it was actually the funniest shit ever, bro. I was a senior in high school. So it was finals week. It was finals day, right? So back in the day, they would have 4 classes having 4 finals in one day, and 3 classes having finals the next day.
Yeah.
So one day you had a full day of school, the next day you had half.
Mm.
So the first day, you have 2 classes have the finals. You have like an hour and a half, an hour and 45-minute lunch, and then you go back and you do another 2 classes.
Right.
So in that hour 45-minute lunch, me and some of the guys, we decided to go to McDonald's in Twin.
Yeah.
It was back in the day when they had the bucket of fries. They had a huge bucket of fries. Yeah. So anyways, it was me. There's like 6 of us dudes, right? We all jam into this little Cadillac, like lowrider with like the lowrider freaking rims and stuff. And we go to the skate park, right? And one of the guys had weed. And screw it. So again, wrong decisions, bro. We're deciding to smoke weed on finals.
Yeah.
So we say, freaking screw it, man. We're smoking weed. When we get the munchies, we go to McDonald's. We get the bucket of fries, right? And we get like a bunch of cheeseburgers because it's all we can afford and like waters, right? And that's when it hits us. And I remember it hit me and I'm like, oh crap, I'm high. And then across from me is one of my other friends, and I'm not naming names, but across from me is my buddy. And then next to me is my other buddy, right?
Yeah.
And then this guy opens up his cheeseburger.
Mm.
And he opens it up, and he's just staring at it, and he's like all confused, looking at it. And this guy over here is looking at him, just busting out laughing. He's kind of like trying to hold it in, but he's choking his laugh, and he's just laughing. I'm like, dude, I'm telling this guy, dude, calm down, like be quiet, like they're gonna know we're high. And then I'm telling this guy, what's wrong? He's like, they made it wrong. I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, my cheeseburgers, they made it wrong. What's wrong with it? He's like, it's upside down. I'm like, okay. He's like, I'm gonna take it back. I'm like, no, man, just flip it. So that's how no, it gets even crazier, man. So then we ate and everything, and we head back to school, right? And I'm like high, bro, and I'm putting in eye drops, and I'm like seeing like the eye drop leave the little bottle, and it's coming to my end. It stops in midair, and I'm like freaking out, like, "Whoa, guys, are you guys seeing this? This is so cool!" And then I like looked over, and it's just hanging from the side, so it never really dropped.
Oh, it never dropped.
Yeah, so I was like, "Oh, I'm high." So I go to my next class, right? And I'm in my class. I go in, and it's my chemistry freaking final, and they're like, it's an open book test, right? So I have my book, and I'm reading the first question, right? And it says, I can't remember what it says. So I see what the topic is. So I open my book, I flip through the pages to get to that section, and then I forget what the question was. So I close the book, and I read the question again. And then I open the book. I start flipping the pages again. And then I forget the question. So I close the book. I read the question again. And I'm like, okay, remember the fucking question. And then I open the book. And I forget. And I did this for like, I swear, like the first 30 minutes of class.
Yeah.
Until I finally realized, bro, just don't close the book.
Right.
Just keep going. Bring the freaking paper right here, bro. After that, I finally got it together. It was starting to wear out. I actually got like an 87 on the final. So I'm like, that's not bad.
I cannot imagine being high.
Yeah, dude.
Because I mean, I didn't do any substances in high school, college, whatever.
Yeah.
I can barely even handle social settings. It's dumb. Like it's really, like I like smoking, but like almost always at home.
Yeah.
Like just chilling with somebody watching TV or something. But going out, trying to like converse and stuff, and
Right.
You just get so in your head.
Right. So see, I think the thing with weed that kind of like threw it off for me at the beginning when I started smoking it, it was more like I hung out with like the rougher crowd of kids.
Yeah.
They were more like the kids that were getting out of juvie, the kids that were like the gangbangers,
Yeah.
and that's what it was. So we go out and we get high and start looking for trouble, and that's why I kind of like associated that with that. So nowadays people like just do it just for recreational fun,
Right.
So to me, it kind of feels like that gray area that I'm like, is it still the same or whatever? I don't know.
Yeah.
But anyways, now that I'm older, when I have done it again, it just still the whole anxiety with time freaks me out. However, I did mess up my knee once, and I took the one that doesn't mess with your head. It's more like a body high.
Okay.
It really helped.
Yeah.
Really helped my knee, man. It was awesome.
I just got this. I've been using CBD oil, like a topical, like if you get an injury, and that somewhat helps, I think.
Yeah.
And then this chick's like, "Well, I'll give you THC cream," and it's like way better. So she gave it to me.
So what does that do? Like numb the pain or what?
It's supposed to just, I don't know exactly, but the CBD oil is supposed to help your body heal itself faster.
Really?
But I guess THC does as well. And so, like, the topical stuff really goes into that area. So, like, I pulled my hip flexor like 2 weeks ago.
Really?
So I'm just, like, putting it on there. But the shitty thing is I don't even think I've told anyone this yet. But so the hip flexor is, like, right up into, like, groin area, but, like,
Right.
top of the quad. And it's like, it was sore from here the whole way down.
Yeah.
Well, so I'm like rubbing this THC oil like on my skin, like all around here.
Yeah.
Well, then I put my like pants on, and so like the CBD oil hits my balls. So then my balls get all tingly. I'm like, what the fuck?
You're like, I don't know how to feel right now.
Yeah, so it's called like ice something. So
it's like the icy hot shit?
yeah, it's kind of like icy hot. So my balls are getting all
Right.
cold. I was like, is this good for them? I mean, I'm obviously like, I guess I'm not worried about sperm count at this point.
That was
But
crazy, man.
yeah, I noticed that even this morning, I like put it on. I'm like, fuck, but I can't not put it there.
To talk about that, I actually just pulled my groin too. The other day, we went to go play softball. We were at practice, man.
Really?
That's when I was like, dude, I need to stretch. I need to get back in shape.
Mm-hmm.
I need to actually be serious now that I'm older. Because back in the day, I used to just get up and go
You just go,
do
yeah.
whatever. Now I'm like, oh crap! Like I really need to stretch. I really need to do this because I pulled my groin. I never did that in my life. I just heard it. And I was like, oh, bro, I can barely even walk.
Yeah.
I was like,
I mean, it's
Jesus,
also
man.
like you think about how infrequent we do activity or
Exactly,
whatever. It's
exactly.
just like, oh shit.
Like going out there if you're doing it consistently, working out or doing exercise or whatever, and then stretching, doing shit right, you'll be
Yeah.
fine. But obviously, I hadn't in a while. And
Yeah.
I'm like an idiot thinking I can still do shit.
Yeah, that was me. We had the skateball league, and
Oh yeah,
I just like start kicking. I'm just like, oh yeah, this is great. And I like kick. I mean, we didn't even start playing the game yet. Like I was just like practicing, didn't warm up at all, and just like slam. And I was like, oh fuck.
So you're pretty much the same.
Yeah, and I was just like hobbling around. I was like, oh, that's not good.
Okay, now I don't feel too bad then.
Yeah, dude,
Because you and that's the same shit. And what's crazy is that Georgie and Hobby, they're in really good shape.
Mm-hmm.
But they were even like running out of breath, and I was like, okay, I don't feel that bad.
Yeah.
I think these guys are in shape. They go to the gym and all that shit. But
yeah, I mean, there's definitely levels of shape. Like, because I remember when I was like, well, a year and a half ago, I started playing basketball again, and I felt like, man, I've been doing cardio, I've been running, you know, I'm in decent shape. But like then when I would play a basketball game, I was just like,
it's different, huh?
Huffing and puffing. But I mean, you have to be on like another level of like really like shape, I guess. But
right.
versus just doing 20 minutes of cardio on an elliptical or something, which is what I do. I'm like, oh yeah, I get my heart rate.
You're just doing the same old thing,
right? Yeah,
but this you're going there up and down.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, more muscles involved.
There's definitely levels of it, but yeah, actually, David and I played basketball. It was like 2 weeks ago, and I played 2 different days, and I was definitely super out of shape. But I was like noticing like there's some really like older guys playing that are still just hanging.
Yeah,
and it's like they might not look like they're in shape, but they still have like cardio.
Right, they have that energy.
Point. Yeah,
I think it's just the energy to keep going.
Yeah, I mean, if you do it every day, you definitely get like a lot more used to it. It'd be nice to get back to that.
Oh yeah, man. I've been looking into doing more cross training and calisthenics.
Yeah.
Because I bulk up really quick. Mm-hmm. I don't have to really lift that much, but I get cut really quick, really fast. And I don't like it because I'm a shorter dude, and I don't want to be like bulky because it makes me look even shorter. So I like to be lean and cut.
Yeah.
So to do that is more cardio and cross training, calisthenics, stuff like that. But that's hard.
Yeah,
it's really hard, man.
Dude, and I don't like cardio. I mean, I like playing sports, so it's like.
I mean, I played soccer all the time growing up, so that really helped. And then also,
swimming in a soccer league.
I can't anymore, man. I have a bad knee. I had surgery on that knee. Now I can't really do it. That's the only reason why I joined that softball, because it's not a lot of running or cardio and stuff like that. Yeah. But with soccer, you gotta stop and move, and it's
You can play foosball. That's almost like something.
Right. That would work. Yeah.
You want a shot, team?
Let's do it.
This podcast is sponsored by Coralejo Tequila.
And
I thought that was
Albanese.
I was joking with Emma for our podcast, and I was just like, I'll know I've made it when certain booze brands like sponsor it and just send me free booze.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck yeah, that's
crazy. Like,
that's a good level of just like a point to be when somebody's just like, oh yeah, you're like, if you drink this on your podcast, we'll send you free booze. I'm like, fuck yeah.
It was crazy because on back when I was living in Nampa, right, we would on Sundays to recover from the hangovers, we go to this place called El Güero. It's this El Güero Tacos y Mariscos. It's El Güero's Pollos y Mariscos. It's a seafood joint and chicken joint. It's dope.
Yeah.
Really, really good food. And we'd go there and we'd eat, and the food is bomb. It's fire, bro. But I remember one time we were there, and I ordered a beer, Estrella, the Mexican beer Estrella.
Okay.
I ordered that, and I had my plate of food, and then like a shot or something. And I took a picture of it, and I was like, oh, this is how you do Sundays. And I, tagged everything, hashtag this, and I hashtag Estrella. And they replied back, like, yeah, thanks for, and this is a big company. It's like Modelo, like, they're a huge company. I was like, yo, that's dope. Like, their official page liked it and then reposted it on their thing. I was like, oh, that's dope.
Dude, that's just something, too, like, when you, like, if you're trying to build, like, Instagram and shit like that that people do all the time. It's like every fucking photo that you have, like
Tag.
if you're DJing, for example, it's like
Right.
you're tagging the people who make your equipment. You're
Right,
tagging
right.
like so that way, hopefully, one of them shares something sometime, and then you get a little exposure here.
Cheers, my dude.
Salud. Dude, so how long? Like, I don't even know how I want to word this question. Guess how long I've been thinking about doing this podcast.
Oh man, I know you've been trying to do this for a minute, bro. I mean, I don't know if I was one of the first people you told, but I think I was probably within that circle of the first people you did tell.
So it's at least 2 years.
I was gonna say it's been
because
years.
I was trying to think about it. So it wasn't last summer, but the summer before, when I was still seeing Natty, because that was when I was like first thinking about it, right, and was just like, oh, I gotta start doing this thing. And it's crazy. So I've thought so much about like why certain things get procrastinated, and some of the things that I've really wanted and really enjoyed in life have waited for so long to finally do.
Why do you think that is? Though, is it just because it's not the right time, or is it
Well, I think that a lot of I think humans do it in general. I think some people are worse and some people are better. I've noticed it about multiple things. For example, photography. Probably the first time I thought to myself, I should like get a camera at some point and like look into this was when I was in Iceland with Maggie. So it was what,
I remember you did say that.
Right?
Yeah.
So I was just shooting with my phone, but I was like, I think I could be good at this.
Yeah.
One of these days I'll get. So that was like the plan, right? But it wasn't enough for me to like just dive all in. Right? And it took me years later till finally I like bought a camera, and then it took me a while to like get into it. And there's other things that happens for. Like if say you want to like do it, like even if it's just like a sporting activity, like, oh, I really want to get into tennis or whatever. It's like even golf, like I want to get into golf. I've been telling myself that for a year, but
no, I agree with
do it.
I agree with that. Everybody, and I have a lot of friends, and I'm obviously one of them say, oh, I'd like to do this, or I want to do that. It'd be cool if I did this, or if even that, not just doing stuff. It'd be cool to go there.
Like one of these days,
cool to
do that, right?
Yeah.
And obviously, you can't do everything that you think about, right? Like you have. Like, I couldn't do every activity I want to do because I wouldn't have enough time.
Right.
But you have to do a few of them, and, like, you have to just jump on something. And I was thinking to myself, like, if I could get better at when I really think about something I want to do, cutting that time down from, like, 2 years or 3 years, even, like, 3 months. Be like, within the next 3 months, I'm doing this thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, once you start doing it, like, I almost always feel I should have done this sooner.
Right.
Like, with photography, like, I was like, dude, if I would have picked this up when I was 21, I would be a professional.
Yeah, right now,
if I would have done this podcast when I was 21, I would be a professional.
And I feel the same way, too, with a lot of things. I mean, I don't know. I like, you're saying, it's honestly human nature. I don't know even what the reason behind it would be, but it's human nature because we all say that. We all say, I should do that, or I could do this, or I should go there. Or I wish I did this. And you look back in retrospect, you're like, shit, I should have done that back then. You know, but you never do, you know?
I think it's same as for like moving too. You know, like a lot of people are like, oh, I wish I could live in Hawaii someday. I'm like, do it. You know, especially obviously if certain people have a family. I get that that's a lot harder. But especially if you're single and you don't have any
well, like right now, with everything, you know, with the whole thing with the DJ thing, that's why I was like, I'm trying to maybe find another job that can help me work remote.
Yeah.
So it doesn't have to be in this city, in this state. Because right now what I'm paying for rent is very reasonable.
Right.
I can keep paying that with the money I make and also go to cities that I have friends with, stay with them, you know, and then pursue that music stuff.
Yeah.
And then but at least I'm there, you know. So I was talking to Cameron because he's in Vegas.
Yeah.
And I was telling him I was telling him, he's like, bro, like, come to Vegas. He's like, you can be my roommate, you know? Yeah. And if it's not him, I have I know this girl and 2 other dudes that live out there that are happy there. And then if not, I have a bunch of family in California, and then friends in Texas, a friend in Miami, but they were all happy. Not even that, if I was just to go back to Mexico and just DJ out there, man.
Yeah.
With that concept, having the Americanized music, bringing it over there. Because there's a difference, you know?
For sure.
And it'd be amazing, but I could still work remote.
Yeah.
But again, so now I'm like, all right, I gotta do something.
Yeah.
I have to.
Some of the things I think it's definitely like more of a risk than other things. Like moving is a higher risk. Like it's very scary to move to another city. And I mean, I think about multiple times when I travel. I'm like, oh, do I want to live at this city?
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I do, maybe I don't. And like, potentially, if I moved there, I would love it. Potentially, I wouldn't. And you never know. So it's a gamble, right?
So you met me the first year I moved out to Boise.
Yeah.
Back in 2013.
Yeah.
That's how far our friendship goes.
Yeah, it's a little bit.
It's a little bit.
Oh, yeah.
But no, man, when I moved from Twin Falls, I mean, I'll be honest with you, the thing that finally, because when I was in Twin Falls, and I was single and stuff, we would always come to Boise every single weekend. Friday after work, we'd be ready. Me and my buddies would drive out to Boise, hang out Friday night, all day Saturday, and then half of Sunday, drive back Sunday,
right,
and then go back to work Monday. And we did that for like about a year.
Yeah.
And then after my buddy got locked up and he got taken away, I kind of realized like, yo, I got to just do something different, because that was my partner in crime. He was a good buddy of mine, and he's in Mexico now. But I was like, I like, what am I doing here? Like, all my other friends are getting married, having kids,
right.
which there's nothing wrong with that. I just wasn't. I didn't have anybody that I wanted to do that with, and even if I did, I don't think mentally I would have been ready to start a family because I wasn't mature. And I think even now, I mean, nobody's ever gonna be ready for that lifestyle. But the thing is, if you find somebody to actually say, "Hey, I want to settle down," that's when it should be.
Yeah.
I wasn't mature enough yet. But anyways, I knew that I didn't want to settle down. I wanted to make it be natural, find the right one, and do it.
Right.
But I was like, I don't want to be here in Twin Falls anymore. I want to move.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I'm going to go to Boise. I'm always there, And so I did. I moved up here, but at the first probably like 3 months, I didn't like it.
Yeah.
I hated it. I wanted to move back because I didn't really know anybody.
Dude, that's the big thing.
And then my roommates that I was with, I didn't know them.
Yeah.
I didn't know them from Adam. I mean, I moved into that house because my other buddy, that's one of my best friends, Alan, he graduated BSU and he was moving back to Oregon. And he's like, hey, I know you want to come to Boise. Come to Boise. Move into this house. Take my room. The 2 guys that live there, I vouch for them. You're going to get along great with them. He's like, and I told them that I vouch for you, bro.
Yeah.
So if it wasn't for him, I probably would have never come to Boise.
Right.
That was the last thing that made me like, all right, cool. I said, give me the room. At that point, I am going to find a job in Boise.
Yeah.
So I did, and I came up, and I interviewed one day for 3 positions with the bank. And then the next day, that same day, one of them called me and gave me the position.
Yeah.
All right, I'm moving up to Boise. But I came, and the guys were always busy. I think Mario was on vacation for like half the time for the first 3 months. So I really didn't see him. And then Tony was always doing his thing. He's a very quiet dude.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't know if we really vibe. So I wasn't really liking it.
Quiet.
And then I went one night out to Suds on Broadway. And then that's when I ran into Ryan.
Okay.
And I worked with Ryan at Chili's. And he was a cook and I was a server. And I was telling him, he's like, oh, dude, you're out here? I'm like, yeah, I'm out here. And I was like, I told him, but I think I'm going to move back, man. I'm not really clicking. I don't know. He's like, no. Just, because I told him, I work all the time. And at work, I'm the youngest person. Everybody at work, they're married. And they're not in my age group. And I'm like, I think I'm going to go back. He's like, nope. Come work at P.F. Chang's, man. Come work at P.F. Chang's. There's a lot more people our age. He's like, you worked at restaurants. You make a lot of friends.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll get you in. So, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So then that next weekend I went. And I talked to the blonde.
Lissa,
yeah. And right away, I told her,
is she still down in Vegas with Cameron?
I have no
idea. Because they were working together.
Really? Yeah, I don't know, man. But she's like, yep, you're hired. And I hadn't really told her, like, my back was like, no, I talked to Ryan, you're good. And I was like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
So then that's when I started working. That's when I ran into you, man. And the rest is history. And then I started getting into my group again. And I started, I don't regret it at all.
Yeah. It's so, it's so hard to go to a new city, especially if you don't know somebody. Like, you have good friends,
I knew people, but they were, like, always doing their thing.
Right.
And it was just, I felt kind of like, well, you guys not here. Yeah, you guys want to kick it? I felt like I was begging people to hang out.
Yeah.
So I was like, I needed to make my own circle of friends. And eventually I did. Now I have a lot of good friends. I have brothers and sisters out here.
Yeah.
That I would have never have met.
Dude, same. And that's one thing that terrifies me about moving to a new city. But I know that I can do it a lot better than I did.
Exactly.
Like, when I moved to San Diego, I felt the same. I was just alone.
Yeah.
Had roommates but wasn't hanging out. And it took me months to finally find my circle. Yeah. And then Boise, I had luckily had a couple people and I had the band and stuff,
Yeah.
so we like a little better. But I know, like, if I were to move to a new city now, I would dive into a restaurant for sure.
Yeah.
Like, just get a somewhat of a community.
Right. I
People
think
that are having fun, that are connected a little bit,
I think if
even if it's just a little bit of time.
I think if I was to go to a new city, and again, hopefully if I do and I'm working remote, I'd actually go to somewhere and then work. Kind of like what you did the other day. You know, you were working at a big business and hobby,
Yeah.
but just chilling and you're meeting people.
You have to force yourself.
Something like that.
Yeah, for sure.
Something like that. Being out there and just meeting people. And then, yeah, you just find people that you group with, people that you vibe with.
Yeah.
Go from there.
Yeah, I have, like, there's people that, like, move to another city, but then they work at home, and then they're just, like, isolated, and then they find themselves like, I don't like it.
Exactly.
And yeah,
I think a lot of it also has to do with if you're an introvert and extrovert, obviously.
For sure.
Maybe, and I'm definitely an extrovert, but now I'm past the point where, I mean, when I was younger, I mean, I'm talking about like my early 20s, you wouldn't catch me at all going to the movies by myself.
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh, people are gonna think I'm a loser and this and that. Now I'm like, dude, screw that. The freaking popcorns are expensive as hell. I ain't buying fucking popcorns for a date. I'm going by myself. So now I was like, I don't care for shit.
I haven't even been to a movie since I think COVID.
We actually just went the other day. Me and Fabian, we went to go watch that new Dumbledore movie, dude. That was dope.
Oh, was that?
Yeah, that's cool.
I really wanted to, like, I used to take like some mushrooms and then go to the movie theater with some of my exes, but I was thinking about doing that recently, but I haven't even been to the theater. I don't think since COVID.
Really? The same old thing, man.
Yeah, but it's still like fun.
No, it's
like,
fun.
I just have like just gotten into watching movies at the house or whatever. But
I think everybody has. But this new, I don't know if you're a Marvel fan.
I mean, I've seen some of them, but
I love it. So that new Doctor Strange is coming out, and so can't wait to see that, dude.
I was watching. Have you ever seen Between Two Ferns?
Sounds familiar.
It's like Zach Galifianakis. It's like kind of set up like this. And there's like it's like two couches.
Oh yeah, it's like an interview kind of.
Yeah, he's a dick.
I've never actually knew what it was called, but I've seen the videos of it all the time.
So the guy who plays Doctor Strange, he's like it's like a blooper of his. He's like, do you think that if you didn't have the accent, people would be able to tell you're not a good actor? So good. And they just both bust out laughing. I was like, yeah, he just asked the most dickest questions.
Yeah. That's awesome as hell.
But
make it awkward.
Oh yeah, he's just like constantly a dick.
That's awesome.
I should have thought about that with this, just like asking like
trial run, man.
No, I think that like I was thinking about moving to Nashville. Like, and it's
if you go to Nashville, bro,
on my list.
I'd love to go to Nashville, man.
Just so there's this thing that happened. Like they say that, for example, like working out, the pain of being like overweight has to be greater than the pain of going to the gym to get yourself to work out.
Right.
And so that's what they say about change. So it's like, if you are so miserable in your current situation and you see a better situation, you're more likely to do that.
Right.
But if like your current situation is like, nah, it's fine, then you're less likely to do the new thing, make the change that you need, right? And I noticed that about like for me moving because I actually really like my life here.
Yeah.
Like I like everything about it. Like for the most part, I really enjoy.
Yeah.
And every time I move or I go to a city somewhere else, I'm like, this would be cool to live here.
Yeah.
But when I like get back into my life here, I'm like, dude, it sounds like so much work to do that,
right?
And it's a gamble. And I'm like, I actually really like it here.
Yeah.
So I don't ever know. I mean, I'm sure I'll move at some point, but I don't know exactly when.
I agree. I agree with that because with everything in life, it's like a skill. Obviously, let's just say, for example, a relationship, right?
Yeah.
You say you really love this girl, and you're in a relationship, and it feels really good. But after a while, like all the fighting, all the arguing, whatever, is going to make it to where, like, okay, leaving her is going to be better, or moving on, then you're going to do it, right?
Right.
But when you have that balance, like here in Boise, you're like, But I do think, so if, let's say, hopefully, if ever, I do actually end up being a successful DJ and go everywhere and stuff, I do plan on traveling. Thank you. I do plan on traveling, doing everything, but I do want to come back here because this is home.
Yeah.
I mean, this is where my family's just super close. My really close friends. I can come here, have a place, even my buddies are here. Like, hey, just come over, dude. I'm cooking. Come over. Like this is where home is.
Yeah.
But again, if I was to go out and travel because I'm working or whatever, I can still come back and be at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where I more lean to these days. And I don't even have like no family here, but like all of my closest friends here for the most are here.
Yeah.
And then, but I'm like, I can still do work in other cities and other countries and
Right.
start like traveling for
sure.
like creative pursuits.
Right.
And maybe even do a month or 2 months or 6 months somewhere, but still keep like this and be like, all right, then I'm back to Boise, regroup and do something.
And that's what I was saying with you earlier. I was like, dude, if I can keep my room where I'm at now, and then still travel, and then obviously be making enough money to pay for that and also wherever I'm going to be staying.
Yeah.
But then in the evenings, if I'm spinning somewhere, that's just extra money that can pay for everything else, and also I'm getting the experience and of my name out there. That's just a win, And do that for like a month, a city, come back for a couple of months, and then go out and do it again at a different city.
Yeah.
That would be dope.
Yeah.
Hopefully that I mean that's the plan at least for right now. I just gotta get better at it.
Bro, it's weird. It's just like I feel like everything is just skill sets.
Yeah.
Like I mean, obviously there's more than skill sets. There's like drive, there's like passions for something, but like if you spend 10 years working on something, you're gonna be way better than if you spend 1 year, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, it's just a matter of putting in the time, and like some people get lucky and they make it a little quicker. So
for sure,
get like I've determined to not be focused on like the when, but just enjoying the process along the way.
Yeah.
So because that's the thing is like you're always going to move the goalposts anyway.
Right.
Like if you become a DJ that is like successful enough to have like a tour and you're making full-time money, that's not going to like you still need to push harder.
You have to.
You're like, well, then I'm going to get better and better. So like your goalposts are always going to be moving forward. That's
they'll change. They'll change, and they have to get moved.
So that means that there's never a point where you've really made it. And so then you want to enjoy the process along the way. Like as long as you're enjoying that growth, that journey, whatever.
I'll say that, growth.
So for me, I was just like, it doesn't matter if like it takes me 2 years or 10 years to be like full time doing what I want to do. As long as I'm enjoying it along the way and having fun doing it.
And it's crazy because like what we were saying, with a little bit earlier, I was like, oh man, I wish I would have actually pulled the trigger a long time ago. Yeah, but I didn't, you know. And, I'm working with the cards I was dealt with, but at the same time, I mean, I remember when I want to say probably, this was like back in 1990 something when we first moved out to Idaho. Probably like 99, 98 or something. And my family would have like parties, whether it be somebody's birthday or whatever. And obviously my parents and my uncles and their friends would start drinking, kind of like obviously we do now. But I'd be 9, 10 years old and I'd be in charge of the music. So I'd literally be in charge of the music. I already knew what kind of songs they liked. I knew the songs that were popular. I knew what songs were songs that get them to dance. So I would actually like have and again, it was like I'm going through my kid CD books, the CD fucking booklet, and I'd look for the CDs and I'd look for the songs. So I'd have them ready and I'd change the songs or I'd fast forward a certain song. And even at that age, I was already doing that stuff, And then the older I got, technology changed. It became the phones, iPods, everything, computers, but I never really sat down and I did DJ, like I told you, back in the day for like events and stuff, which was okay. It was a learning experience. I knew that now I don't want to do that. Now I actually want to do my own thing. People, if they want me to spin, it's because I'm going to do it my way. It's like you're paying for me to do it, not your way. Like, for example, like you, when you edit a picture, like, oh, I need you to change this and that. It's like, okay, well, if you know what you're doing, why don't you do it then? Same thing. But that's what I'm saying. Like, I've been through everything and I enjoyed everything. I've enjoyed all the kudos. I've seen stuff. I was like, oh, I could have done this better. I could have done that better. But now I'm like, okay, I've gotten to the point in my life where I'm like, okay, I'm comfortable with or confident with what I've done and what I can do. I'm confident that I myself am able to say I'm going to do it and then do it. And even if I don't make it, great. At least I can be comfortable enough and be okay with the fact that at least I tried. And even then, I'll still come back and I'm still pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll be able to spend with wherever we hang out, you know?
Dude, the crazy thing is like you a lot of people like some people make it super early, but they might not have had a lot of the experience that you have.
Right.
And we all bring unique skill sets into like whatever we're doing. Like, yeah, I could have started picking up the camera at 21 and maybe I would be successful, but I wouldn't have learned some of the things that I've learned in my other life experience, right? Yeah. So I can take all that life experience and then add that into this. And like this might not even be like there's this concept where a lot of like guys don't really meet their full potential until their 50s.
Yeah.
Like so all the things I'm learning now and the things that I've developed in my 20s, and then everything I do in my 40s might bring me to a culmination of some grand, like I might have this crazy idea when I'm 51 and I'm like, holy shit. And then I can do all this stuff because
everything else
now I'm bringing all the, I'm bringing all, maybe I made a lot of money here. I've learned these skill sets here. I developed these relationships here. And then I bring those all together to create some like bigger thing.
Right. And a big thing to me is like, if I look back, like, oh, I wish I would have done this or would have done that. Yes, but to me is if I would have done that earlier, I wouldn't have gone to the path that I did now.
Right.
Which makes me who I am now, and I am happy for the person who I am now, and I'm more than happy. I'm so grateful that I have the people in my circle I have now.
Yeah.
You know, because if I was just like after the whole thing in Twin Falls, instead of coming to Boise, I went to Vegas and I got super successful. I would have never have met you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This
that would have been really bad.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know, we would have never have met. That would have really sucked, man. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, I mean, I'm grateful for my journey. I'm grateful for everything that happens, and everything that's gonna happen is gonna be great.
Yeah.
So
you just kind of follow along. Let's do all of this. Yeah, we're gonna have to take a shot like that. Yeah, it's so interesting. I've asked a couple people recently this where it's just like, even somebody who's 25, like, do you think where you are now is where you thought you would be when you were coming up, like when you were 14, thinking about what your life is going to be? Is this what it was? Did you think? No one says yes, right? Like we all realize later that life is not anything like what we thought it was going to be, and no one warns us of that either.
No,
like no one tells you like whatever you think now, it's going to be drastically different. Just like hold on for the ride. But that's how it is. It's like it doesn't turn out the way that you think.
It doesn't, and that right there is the beauty of life. Because if it did turn out the way you wanted it, what was the excitement? Did you really even live your life?
Right. No, yeah.
It has to be different.
And I mean,
it's crazy. So when I was before I worked at the bank, I worked at a payday loan place, right?
Yeah.
And one of the girls that was working with me,
you had a contract with the devil.
Yeah, I was working there, right? And I was like 21, man.
Yeah.
And I was pulling in probably like $3,000 every 2 weeks.
Oh, sure.
21 years old, and I was young, bro. For back in the day, that's big money.
Yeah, for sure.
That's $6,000 a freaking month, you know. And I spent all that shit on parties. Anyways, so but I remember like one of these girls that was working with me. She was at the time 28, and her brother was like 30 or 31, and she would drive his Cadillac Escalade. I'm like, oh shit, that's a dope ass car. She's like, oh, that's my brother's. Okay, cool. And then sometimes she'd drive a different car. It was a super nice sports car. I can't remember what it was. But she's like, oh, that's my brother. I'm like, well, what did your brother do? I was like, oh, he worked at like a dairy and he made really good money, but he lived with his parents.
Yeah.
And I was like, how old is he? He said, oh, he's 30. And in my mind, and I remember this very, very vividly, that I was in my mind like, bro, your brother's 30, making a lot of money, living with his parents?
Yeah.
Like, why isn't he married? Doesn't he have his own house, you know? And that's crazy because that's what I was thinking back in those days.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then now I look at things, I have a lot of friends that are in their 30s or close to their 30s that are still living with their parents.
Yeah.
You know, and they're not married. And I myself am not married. I'm going to be 35 this year.
Yeah.
So it's just crazy how like that mindset was back in the day and now it's different. because I'm in that age.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Well, luckily, I mean, I think culturally it has shifted.
very true. Yep.
Like when we were younger, it was like
It was
almost-
you had to. That was the plan of society.
Yeah.
You know,
Now it's
socially,
gotten a bit looser. Like the average marriage age has moved up and up.
And
I think it's good.
And it makes sense because okay, so when I left Twin Falls, right, a majority of my friends were getting married and having kids. You know, I wasn't ready. I moved on and did my thing. I go back to visit. More than half of them are divorced.
Yeah.
More than half.
Like, is that what you wanted? Or?
And I'm like, you know, and it didn't work out. It sucks. You know, I never wished anybody bad. But I'm like, I didn't want that.
Right.
You know, if I was going to get married to me with somebody who's like, hey, I'm going to date you for like 5 years.
Yeah.
Before I even consider,
right,
you know, getting married, you know. But,
yeah.
To each his own.
Fucking life.
Cheers, bro.
Salute.
Salud. I haven't break the seal.
Word. Be right back. I'll run a little bit, yeah?
Let's do it.
So, this break has finished. What you need?
Strawberry.
Strawberry. So, yeah, I'll probably do like good 6 or 8 of these before I start putting them out. But
yeah,
basically just take like I'll like cut piss breaks.
So I remember when the first time you brought this up, I was like, you were telling me like it's not even like anything crazy. We're just sitting down talking about random stuff. Just people can relate with random stuff. And the thing is, it's just the life out here in Boise, which is amazing. I love Boise. And I told you, this is amazing, bro. Like, a lot of times we've sat down and had deep conversations that are very meaningful.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we say the dumbest shit. I'm like, bro, why didn't we record that?
Well, that's the thing is I feel like both of these, one of the things that I'll have to try to figure out is, because there's sometimes you get into a really good conversation at like a bar, or maybe like there's no opportunity to do this, like I'm at your house. I'm like, we should make a mental note. We should talk about this subject next time you come podcast with me. And then like we can still like bring that thing back up.
Right.
Because there's like some value that happens.
Yeah.
You know, like when you're talking about life or whatever, certain people can relate.
Right.
And then, but then there's other things that happen spontaneously too.
Yeah.
And I've loved, ever since I wanted to do this, I really liked, if I wanted it to feel like it's just two friends hanging out, drinking.
Which it is. It really is.
And I mean, like you'll get used to like fucking lights and whatever, but when it comes down to it, it's just like I have a ton of really good people around me.
Yeah.
And I wanted to start there, but I mean, it also is a networking tool. It's just like the more you like talk to people, the more you get to meet other people.
Yeah.
And like sometimes I'll be out and I'll meet somebody and I'll have a really good conversation with them, and I'm like, you should be on my podcast. So like, you have a podcast.
I like the way you find things.
But like until this point, I've been in situations where I'm like, you should be on my podcast. Like, oh yeah, you have a podcast. I'm like, well, I'm gonna. But it was always like
it's gonna happen
down the line, and then I kept putting it off.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, and it's not just that. I mean, it's so for me with social media and stuff. I mean, I remember one time I was going through YouTube, right, and I was looking at this certain location in Mexico that I was gonna go travel to and visit, and then I saw a video. And it was about this girl. She said this visiting Mexico, and it was that city, but being black. And I was like, and it just caught my attention. I was like, okay, cool. So I clicked on it, and she was just talking about her experience of visiting Mexico for the first time in that city, but being black.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit! I hope she didn't have a bad experience.
Right.
And no, it was the total opposite. She was like, oh, it was a great country, and everybody was so blown away because in their eyes, I was seen more as a beauty than versus, what I grew up with in the States, with slavery and everything. That wasn't the case in Mexico. You know, they saw me, everybody was like staring, but not in a way that like, oh no, it was like more like, oh my gosh, she's beautiful.
Yeah.
And she had the best experience and everybody was nice to her. And she was like, she would have people like, just reach out like, hey, you're very beautiful all the time. And I thought that was dope.
Yeah.
And so then I saw more videos of that. And I started watching more videos, and then at one point, I remember at one of the other videos, she said she had an Instagram. Mm-hmm. So then I started following her on Instagram, and then I would see more pictures because she travels, and obviously you and I like to travel. And yeah, it was cool, man. She would travel and stuff, and I would comment on some of the pictures like, oh, this is so cool, this and that. And then she would reply to me and stuff like that, and then we actually built a friendship.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, we actually built a friendship, and now like I talk to her once in a while, and she's gone through her ups and downs, and she's had moments where she's been like stepping away from social media because it gets too much. Sometimes
Right.
people are rude and stuff. But we always talk, and she's from DC.
Okay.
I told her one of these days I want to go to DC, and I told maybe we can all hang out,
Right.
finally meet and stuff. But no, and that's was like, dude, that was cool. Like that was just a friendship
Yeah.
that just became from just a video on social media.
Right.
You know? So I was like, dude, that's awesome, and hopefully like a podcast like this where we're talking about life and we're talking about stuff that maybe somebody can see this and be like, oh wow, like that really resonates with me.
Mhm.
That's exactly how I felt, or that's exactly the way I thought, or I wish I could do this, and like even with just pictures or videos, whatever, you can see people's energy
Yeah.
and see people's state of mind. You're like, you know what, like I like that. I want to follow that person. I want to, have them in my circle because obviously when they say, "Tell me who you are," I'll tell you who your friends are. Or
Right.
whatever the way it goes, tell me who your friends are. I'll tell you who you are.
Right.
I think that's so true, and I follow that to a T
For
because
sure.
I've always liked to bring people that have positive energy and just are always like creative and are just have good stuff going on to bring in my life because that's what I want in my life.
Yeah.
And I've told people this multiple times. I mean, like I have all my friends that I talk to and do this and that, and I've told people like when I get with Josh and we sit down and talk, like the creative side of me comes out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like I say this and I say that and I think about this and I talk about that, and that's just the side that comes out when I hang out with you. And I like that side of me. It's only you and another buddy of mine that bring that out in me, and I'm like, dude, that's why you guys are one of my close friends, and I love having you guys in my circle, man.
Yeah.
It's dope.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Same.
Cheers, bro.
Yeah, it's interesting to think about, like, if you were actually like to, I guess, take inventory of your friends and what you like about them.
Right.
It's like you actually can like, because sometimes we kind of take it for granted.
Yeah.
But I've done that a little bit recently, where you think about this person, you're like, dude, look, I love that dude so much, and why? And then
Yeah.
you start to like.
Yeah.
You kind of go down your own, like, in your own head of like these things are like, oh well, he does this and I feel this way and this and this, and it's like if you were to hang out with a friend and all you could say was, fuck dude, every time I hang out with them they complain or like they do this, I'm like, dude, that's a friend you shouldn't have.
Yeah,
you know,
they
whatever.
fail, they do this,
Right.
That.
And so what I've noticed is like, dude, all of my friends that I like really value, that I spend time with, are all like this massive amounts of positives.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
they bring me up here, they make me feel this, and each one's different.
Yeah,
so you
right.
have like
Exactly.
a different energy for
Yeah.
this one and this one. But
Exactly.
I was talking about one of my friends to somebody the other day, and they were just like, yeah, I don't really get, like, I don't know if they have a lot of substance and stuff. And somebody was saying, I was like, what do I like about them? And then I was thinking about like my interactions with them,
Mhm.
and I was like, yeah, they don't have like the most deep conversations with me,
Right.
or the like philosophy or whatever. But the one thing that they are like high on life.
Yeah.
And they just like, they bring such a positive energy.
The energy.
Every time that I'm with them, they're giggling, they're laughing,
Yeah.
they're having fun,
Yeah.
and they want to like. And I was like, that is a quality that's
Right.
very endearing. Like,
Right. Yeah.
I don't care if you bring deep conversations, but all you do is complain.
Yeah.
That actually is a negative to
Right.
me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Like, that's not going to help me if I'm
Yeah.
like just getting dragged down. And
Yeah.
like, you have maybe a lot to say, but like all we're doing is
I have
focusing on
I
that.
have a lot of friends that would be like, I mean, to me, I have friends that they never graduated high school.
Yeah.
So obviously, intellectually, school was never for them.
Right.
Whatever. But they're very ambitious. They're
Right.
very ambitious. They're doing this, doing that, and they have that drive. They have that energy. So
Yeah.
to me, it's like, bro, like I want to feed off that. So they're
Yeah.
part of my friends, and I admire that about them. And then have other friends that they might be like quiet, like Tony.
Mhm.
Tony was always super quiet.
Yeah.
But Tony was always there for you. He always had your back. He was a great roommate.
Yeah.
There was times that I was down. He was there for me. Same with French, man. Like French is a
Yeah.
quiet dude, and they were just really loyal friends. And,
Yeah.
they always had your back. And then it's just everybody brings something different to the table. You know what
Yeah.
I'm saying? Everybody has something different. So
Yeah.
it's different friends, but as long as it's all positive, and
Yeah.
it just helps you become a better person in general.
Well, and that's what I wanted to bring, like, with this, I like the idea of the podcast too. Is I mean, there's definitely other podcasts that do similar stuff. I'm like, I'm not reinventing the wheel or anything,
Right.
by any stretch. But what I really liked, like, I feel like in general, comparatively to like people who are building really big things, or to like your average American, like family, business, whatever.
Right.
I am basically a degenerate, and I think that most of my friends, in a lot of ways, are.
Why would you say that though? Why would you say that?
So like, I'm still a bartender at 36. Like that as a society is something that people are like, oh, you.
So as a society, for being that age, they want you to have like a career or stuff like that.
Exactly.
So, but I'll answer that.
And then, like, stepping outside of my religious upbringing.
Right.
Like, I'm a person who is single, sleeps around, drinks, does like recreational drugs, etc. Right. So, like, to that kind of crowd, I'm also degenerate. And then when I think about the people that I've like kind of studied for like business building, like becoming like really successful, I'm also a degenerate. Like they are like, get up at 4, hit the gym, do your journal, like, and I'm not saying any of those things are bad, but like it just had never
They're so dedicated,
fit my lifestyle or like fit like who I am. And so what I wanted to bring, like, but I know that there are people that are like me that are successful out there, and I've seen, like, I've like heard the stories. Maybe you heard it on another podcast, or I've seen like whatever. So I'm like, dude, this is possible. You don't have to follow like this
plan,
to be. And so what I've noticed is like I have a lot of friends that I think are going to be massively successful that are on different paths than like the standard path, right? So that's why I wanted to bring like I talk to these people all the time. Like I see that there's other like options out there. And I think it's like, to me, this was a cool idea to like not only take these little learning lessons from like people that I value, and also have a really good time and just like laugh and carry on and drink and have.
I totally agree, man. I mean, I've thought about that too. I mean, I don't ever say I want to compare myself to other people, but I've compared where I am in life to other people, and where I should be or where I think I should be. But at the end of the day, is in my family, I want to say that I'm probably the black sheep of my family. Even though I've done everything my parents wanted me to. I graduated high school. I went to college. I went to college. I got a good job. I didn't build any addictions. I'm 35 and never got tattoos. My dad didn't care, but my mom never wanted me to get tattoos. My parents always wanted me to buy a house, have a good job. I did both. And I did everything my parents wanted me to, because I wanted to do it for myself, to show that I didn't want to, disappoint them. But obviously at the same time, I was doing a bunch of other shit, I was getting in trouble. I was, sleeping around, recreational stuff as well. And then now that I'm going to be 35, I literally just got back from this last weekend to Falls, and I was telling my mom, like, hey, I've done everything you wanted me to, and I told my mom, I remember telling my mom, I don't know if you remember, but when I was 17, I told you I wanted to get a tattoo, and I still want to get a tattoo. The only reason why I haven't gotten a tattoo is because I never really knew what I wanted, but I knew it was going to be permanent. So I didn't want to just get one. I wanted to like figure out what I wanted. And I told my mom, that just shows you that that's who I am in life. I when I know something's going to be honest and for reals, it's going to take me time to actually commit to it, because it'll be forever. And I told my mom, that's why I haven't gotten married. That's why I haven't gotten kids yet. I'm like, because to me, that's obviously going to be forever. She's like, okay, I respect that. Because every time I go down there, she's like, when are you get married? When do you have kids? My mom was like, when I was a kid, she was always like, don't have kids out of wedlock. And if you do, you have to take care of him. We're not going to make you get married to the girl, but you got to take care of the kid.
Right.
Now that I'm older, she's like, I don't care if you're married, just have kids. I want grandkids. And now I'm just like, I don't want to.
Only option.
Now I was like, I don't want to. What's up?
Are you the only option for grandkids?
Well, my sister already has 2. My other sister, she's dating somebody, and same thing. She's like, if it happens, it happens, But I'm as far as my dad, same thing. He wants me to have kids because obviously the last name carries on. But I'm like, okay, I don't want kids right now because A, I don't want to have them matter what I do. And then B is I want to keep doing what I'm doing. I want to travel, have fun. And I'm like, and I told my mom, like, I'm not against getting married and settling down, having kids, I think that'd be amazing. Because that doesn't mean I don't have to give up my dream. I can do both.
Yeah.
It'll be hard, but if I'm really dedicated, I can do both.
Yeah.
But I told her ultimately, forever, it's going to be the wife and kids.
Yeah.
And I want to make sure that that's right.
The nice thing about being a male is that our clock is way longer than girls' clock. I mean, it's definitely a nice thing because if you're a chick and you want kids, like you are like at
Science
the
is
edge,
catching up.
right?
Science is catching up.
But I mean, like all I'm saying is like, dude, like, I mean, I'm not gonna have kids, but say you want kids, like you literally you can have kids in the next 30 years.
Bro, I don't know if I'm shooting blanks, bro, but I'm. There's been a couple times.
I don't know if that's good or bad either.
I've had 2 scares, and I was like, but one of them is the worst, bro. I said, I've had 2 scares, but one of them wasn't even a scare.
Yeah.
She wasn't pregnant, but she told me she was.
Oh, she
because it was a test. I was just dumbest shit ever, but obviously I was actually happy. I love the girl, and I was like, dude, this is amazing. I love you. Yes, let's start a family. Let's and that. And I was like, don't worry about college. You finish college, I'll drop out. I'll get 2 jobs. I'll support us, this and that. And then by the end of the day, she's like, oh, I was kidding. I just want to see your reaction. I was like, that's bullshit, man. I was really happy, but I was like, what?
Dude, there's this thing, like, I mean, I don't know how to evaluate the kids versus no kids thing, but take for example, we've been talking about like both of our dreams and pursuits. Like you want to pursue DJing and I'm pursuing creativity, photo, video. And it's like I know that for me right now, I don't even want to be in love. Like it is it's such a like to me that is such a distraction from like the path that I know that I want. And obviously you see it so often where I'm not saying it's bad, like it's just a different choice. But if somebody meets the love of their life and decides they want to get married and have a family, they put everything aside and like this now we're focusing all on this kid. And I think that's beautiful, obviously, in the familial sense. Like, you're sacrificing everything for like bringing up a child. But at the same point, you've sacrificed all your hopes and dreams for that thing. And some people figure out how to make like both.
So to me, and it's crazy because to me, it's always been the opposite. To me, for a long time, I felt that something was missing.
Right.
And to me, it's that one, the drive to help me push forward will be that person, that the girl, if she's there and I'm like, yo, you want to be with me, you chose me, I'm going to show you that you make the best decision of your life. I'm going to chase my dreams. I'm going to make everything happen. And if we have a kid, I'm going to show our kid that I can chase my dreams and I can reach for the stars so that I can, show him. Because I've always been a person, lead by example, know? So I'm going to show our kid I can do that. So that's, my mentality is totally different.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give up everything and drop my dreams. I would actually do the total opposite. I would break my back working all the time, but then I would also chase my dreams because I was like, hey, like I want to show you that you didn't make a mistake by choosing me. You are going to be my drive, my motivation to be successful. Having our kid is going to make me be even more successful. That's all. I don't know. That's always been my state of mind, and I don't know if maybe that's what's been holding back. But
no, I mean maybe obviously every person's different. Like there's this guy I follow, his name's Tom Philly. He does podcasts. And he was one of those where he's just like he was engaged to this chick and was still a lazy piece of shit and was like promising her and her dad like, you made the best decision with me, I'm going to make something of myself. But like meanwhile was still doing nothing, and that was like the motivation alone. Like he got off his ass because he's like, I have to prove myself to this woman. But they still had kids. But like that was something that they kept shelving because they were like, oh well, we're gonna eventually do this. And like I don't know if they still have kids, but that's like somebody I'm like, oh shit. I think that's a different person than me because when I get into a relationship, I like put all of my shit on hold and I'm like, let me just like take care of you and like let's go on dates, like let me take you on a trip, let me do this and that instead of being like, no, I'm gonna work way more on my dreams and stuff. So I mean maybe I can be different down the road, but I've just noticed that with my last couple of relationships.
There's no right or wrong. I mean it's just
like whatever works for
exactly. I think ultimately whatever makes you a better person and whatever helps you just keep going, keep pushing forward.
And not to say that I would never have like some serious relationships down the road, but I mean even with the person I've been seeing, I was just like, I told her, I was just like, I don't want love right now. I don't want like, I'm like, I'm happy with casual. This is like, I am like, so like, I'm on a mission. Like, I have multiple things that I want to build. And especially like recently I went up to Canada, visit my buddy Luke and stuff. I'm just like, dude, there's all these cool, I'm like, I'm so like pumped about all this stuff. It's like the last thing I need is distraction, like love, and like God fucking damn. But I mean, I know that some people that's all they want, and that's also fine. But I just know that in this period of my life, it's not for me. I'm
So
really
so ultimately to me is if you know if I find somebody, I wouldn't let it deter me or deter me from what I want to do. For the past, I don't even know how many years, I've just been cruising
yeah
on just my regular job and just doing what I'm doing. But now I've gotten to the point where like, all right, okay, I'm kind of over doing the same thing every day with my job. I want to do something different.
yeah
And I was like, all right, what can I do to enjoy my life and go to the next level, make good money and enjoy my life? And just enjoy my life. That's when I actually like music. I'm good at music.
yeah
Pursue it. So that's where I'm at now.
yeah
You know, it could have happened a while ago.
yeah.
It didn't. As far as me feeling I'm in a rut, and I don't want to even say it's a rut. I guess complacent would probably be the better word.
You can still do the gay porn that you were talking about.
You remember your bottom.
I wasn't saying with me.
Well, isn't that what we're leading to? I just read it.
This is my podcast.
Your roommate's gonna hold the camera.
If we're doing my podcast, I get to be the top.
Anyways, man, no, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't want to say that, I mean, I guess I did say that, yeah, having somebody there would be my drive, but it would be a drive.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it took me a while to say, I am my own drive.
Yeah.
But it just takes longer for that, because
For
it's
sure.
so much easier. It is so much easier to say, I didn't do this because I was missing that. Or I didn't do this because of that.
Right.
And I guess that's a cop out, but it is true.
Yeah.
For the longest time I said, oh, I didn't want to do this because I wanted that to be my drive so I can do this.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it should be just up to me.
Yeah.
And it is. It's gone to the point now where that's what it is.
Yeah.
But I'm not opposing, if that was to happen. Now I know if it was to happen, I wouldn't stop chasing my dream. I'm still going to have my dream and I'm just going to use that to push me even further. So,
yeah. That's for man, I've gone so back and forth on the there's this thing in life where you we all want to find somebody else, right? Like, I mean, that's human connection is a real thing. Like, we want to have that person.
We have to.
Or maybe it's 4 people, but whatever. Like, we want to have the community or the person or whatever
some sort of interaction
to bond with, right? Yeah. And then there was a while where I was I wanted to pride myself in being really independent. Like, I don't need anyone to be happy. I can be happy on my own. And there is value in finding happiness on your own.
Which I think everybody should have that. Everybody should to figure out who they are.
You could go out in the woods for a month and still just enjoy being alive and nature, to have that value.
Yeah.
But at the same time, most of us are fucking social creatures and
we
need community. So I've kind of, at least in this moment, settled on I enjoy I have such a good group of friends, and connections, family, friends, etc. Where I do have a lot of community and love and relationship. So I have some of that support, but then I still have I want to be okay with if I go my entire life and never find the one, as they say,
you'll be okay.
Still be happy and fulfilled, right?
And
then if I find whatever that is, be oh, well, this is even better. I already had everything I need, and then you find somebody that meets your resonation or they resonate with you. Yeah. So they meet your vibe, and then all of a sudden you're holy shit, I already had everything I need, and now you just add a little icing on the cake. Yeah. Now we have that. That
and my life is great. Yeah.
But I also the idea of that my life is complete without that. Even if I didn't.
I totally agree. And that's my mentality right now too. honestly, that's the same.
But then
You know?
again, I'm like, I changed so much that I'm like, you can ask me.
But that's like,
we can podcast like the next time, and I'm
like here in a year, we're
fuck
like,
all that shit.
fuck. So what did I tell you when we're having lunch or dinner today? I was like, yo, dude, a year from today, and now we have proof for the year from today.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, a year from today, we're gonna meet up again. We're gonna see where we're at. You were photography, me with the DJing, and I was like, we might not even be here in Boise doing.
We're not gonna meet for a year.
We're not doing none of this. I'm like, this is the timestamp.
Yeah.
You know, a year from now, we'll see what's going on because I am gonna finally do this. I'm gonna put myself out there, you know, and I'd be hopefully maybe out there traveling, you know, DJing at clubs. I'll fly you out and we'll do another podcast and say, hey, this is where we're at now in the year.
Dude, this is a nice, actually, speaking of that point, podcasting is a nice way to timestamp shit. I didn't think about that till you brought it up because, like, you can literally look back because all of these should be on whatever the podcast platforms, right? And you should be able to look back and see
where we go at.
This was that. Yeah. Like when I was first podcasting, which is now, this is the second one. I did one with Emma yesterday. I'm still working. I'm working in a bar, doing photos. Like then in a year, you're able to see where we at now,
your progress,
what we do, and then like I'm still gonna be podcasting with some of the same people. Like the circle mate will probably be expanding,
right.
But I still want to fucking podcast with like the.
And I'm talking, man. The whole fact when you brought up the whole idea of a podcast, I've seen podcasts. Everybody has, and it's just people are just talking, and you're like, oh, okay, hearing conversations like, oh, I didn't know that was that, and it's something crazy, or I guess something different about when you're in a conversation. You know, you're in a conversation. Yeah. But when you're stepping back and hearing a conversation, it's totally different. Yeah. You know, it's crazy to think about it, but
you're like flying on the wall for
exactly. You know, and then when it's two friends that you know or people that you know, you're like, oh, I didn't know this about you. You know, and when you see it too, you're like, that's cool.
Yeah, I like it too because, podcasting. I've thought a lot about different ways to be successful in life. Yeah. So I've thought about like music, like being a musician. You have to practice. You have to tour. You know, like there's a lot of things that you have to do. If you're gonna be a comedian, you gotta go play shows. Yeah. You gotta like grind it out. You have to, if you want to DJ, you gotta play the shows. You gotta work in the studio. You have to do all these things, right? Yeah. Podcasting was the one thing that like seemed counterintuitive to all the other ways to be successful. Like, and I don't know if I'm sure that there's still a skill set to be built. Like, and I think that like communication and conversationalism is a skill set. But like, if I like the laws of like doing things over and over to get better and better at it, in a podcast form, you literally sit down and have a conversation. If you did it every day or once a week or whatever, and it just builds and builds over time. Right. If I want to be a famous actor, I can't just sit down for an hour and talk to my friend. No, like there is a lot of
classes, everything.
But podcasting, for some reason, is this like unique area where if you have interesting things and something to say and a way, and you build that over time, you can actually be successful.
I think podcast is more of like an honesty thing. It doesn't necessarily have to be like a blunt honesty, but you just have to be honest, and you just have to be a human being. Yeah. Yeah. And it's something about what it is now. I mean, for example, like the other day, okay, so when I was living with Brian, right? Mm-hmm. And Brian was my roommate, and I would see Brian watching videos of guys and girls and people playing video games. Yeah. And I'm like, what are you doing, bro? He's like,
that's another one.
And I'm like, why? He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, why are you watching people play video games? I'm like, I don't get it. What's the point? He's like, okay. He's like, well, why do you watch sports? You're watching other people play sports. Yeah. And I was like, he's like, and I've seen you watch people DJ. Why do you watch people DJ? And I'm like, you got a point. You got a point. I'm like, you got a point. I was like, okay. And I thought about it. And then this is honestly the same thing. Yeah. Like just watching two people have a conversation.
Well, there's a conversation. And I think that this probably would have worked 50 years ago. I mean, obviously there wasn't videos, but one of my, I have a friend who worked with me when I first moved to Idaho. His name's Justin. And he did a daily video series with his wife. It wasn't a podcast, but it was like a 5-minute clip. They called Our Little Planet at the time, but I think they're called something else now. But now he has like 2 million followers. Wow. And all his family does is make videos full time. but I knew like when he set out to do it, he was following other people that did it, but I had never heard of it, and so he was just every single day they would take a drive. She would sit in the passenger seat, he would sit in the driver's seat, and the kids would be in the back seat, and they would just shoot the shit. And they're funny, you know, so it's like entertaining, and they would clip down like 3 minutes of them driving, you know, and so basically it's just like our life as a family, and there is something that people love about it's like reality TV. I mean, that's why reality TV
got so big. Yeah.
So, but he was like, it just takes putting in the time.
Yeah.
Like they're not doing anything really that extra. I mean, obviously they had to have the video. He still has to splice it, so there is extra work.
Right.
But it's not like he's training to be a professional NFL player. It's not like he's
living his own life.
Like a chess master. It's not like he's like he's just slowly but surely putting in the time.
So it's almost like the same thing that you said at the restaurant. Like that one guy that says that did. He's like, I'm doing like a 2-minute reel twice a day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the guy's like, oh, your reels are crap. Yeah, but you're still watching it. Same with like somebody. All your videos are of you living your life.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, and so are you, but you're still watching mine. Same thing, right? Same thing.
Dude, there is this thing that do you know who Gary Vee is?
No.
So he's another guy that's like inspired me a bunch, like with just some of this shit. But he's like, we have such an opportunity in the day of like obviously the internet's been around for a while, but it hasn't really reached its full potential. Well, it's probably not even its fullest potential, but it's getting way bigger at this point. And he's like, at this point in like internet and life, you can take any passion and make it a profession.
Yeah.
Like you could.
And we have to take advantage.
He's like, you could be into Legos. And he's like, as an adult, if you were to take Legos and make a podcast or make a video a day, like, but you have to be consistent. You know, it's like you build this channel. Mm-hmm. You like there are 7.5 billion or 8 billion people in this world. You will find your 100,000, 200, 300,000 people that are really into it that find you because you are the aficionado.
So it's crazy. So with just that concept in general. So just last night, I got home late. You know, we went out, we had drinks and stuff. And I got home probably like around 11:30. You know, I took a quick shower, got ready for bed. And I laid down, and I was going to go to bed. And then I was just, before I go to bed, just one last swipe through social media. And on my Instagram, I saw this video. It was a reel about this guy that was showing like this outdated, like, I want to say like maybe like corn grinder or something.
Yeah.
But it was all rusted. And I saw that it was like 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
And I was just watching, like, he was taking it all apart, and it had all, like, the noises of him screwing stuff off and stuff like that. And he sanded it down, he sprayed it, he, like, did a bunch of stuff and, like, restored the whole thing, painted it and everything, back to normal. That whole thing took, like, 10 minutes, but I couldn't stop watching. And I'm like, people do that as a regular job. But this guy just recorded it for 10 minutes. Yeah. And he, like, obviously, like, cut it down, but I was like, I don't know why. I was intrigued. I was like, oh. Yeah. I just kept on watching.
Yeah.
For 10 minutes. I just kept on watching. Yeah. I was like, this is dope. Yeah. I was like, I would never do that.
Right.
But I just because it broke it down so much faster. I'm sure that whole process took way longer than 10 minutes, obviously. But the whole fact that I saw it in 10 minutes, like it took 10 minutes out of my day when I was already tired. I should have bed, but I still stayed up for an extra 10 minutes to watch this guy restore this freaking corn grinder.
Yeah.
That it was a cool video. I thought it was a cool video. But
yeah.
Dude, this is cool, man.
Yeah, I mean,
it's another person doing their job. Or like those welding videos, people like just shit like that. That's crazy.
Well, it's crazy too, because like everyone that you know that does basic, say they make an $80,000 a year job, if they were to start making videos of them doing their job and they did it consistently, they could potentially build enough audience where they're making more online than they're doing in their current jobs. Like it's very possible just because of the internet. Exactly. And because there's other people in the world that are curious about those things.
Yeah.
And like, or maybe they become the guru because they've been doing it for 20 years. And like my brother, who's a carpet cleaner, he watches carpet cleaners.
Yes,
right? He's like, there are carpet cleaners that actually all they make hundreds of thousands of dollars from their video presences. Yeah. Like doing carpet cleaning, but they don't like
they make more often videos than actual carpet
so they actually don't even do that many jobs anymore. They're only doing it to show other people to make the videos. But it's like they put in the time taking the video.
You know what's crazy? So think about this. So I don't know if you ever watched like the History Channel and stuff, but they used to have those videos that are called How It's Made.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like videos of how stuff is made.
Yeah.
That's literally what we have now on social media, like with
like kind of stuff,
and even documentaries, you know, like stuff like that, like documentaries, long, exciting, whatever.
Yeah.
But now people make their own small little documentaries, you know.
Yeah.
Like reality TV, this could be a reality TV, yeah.
Yeah, and especially like if you think you're interesting enough or you have something going on, you can create that, and then you have to build it over time. Like you can't just make a video and like, oh shit, I didn't make it. You know, you have to
talk about videos. Well, let's put one on my Instagram.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Want to take a shot?
Oh yeah.
Because I poured one.
What the fuck? Yeah, I'm still not even get with this.
Yeah, we need to get you turntables.
I know, dude. All right, first podcast down.
Hey.
Cheers, brother. Salud, bro.
Hell yeah, dude. It's a good vibe, huh?
Mm-hmm. I like it, bro. When the first time you brought it up, I was like, "This is dope."
I mean, it's definitely it's funny. I brought this up to Luke on the first one. I was like, first couple is definitely gonna suck. He's like, but I was literally thinking about how when you start anything, like of course it's always gonna suck. Like the first set that you ever play is probably gonna be your worst. Like
right.
It was like the first photo shoot that I ever took. Of course it's gonna be terrible. Like why wouldn't it be? It's like you're literally picking up a new thing and doing it. And one of my biggest hang-ups about starting things is like perfection. Like,
right.
I really want this to be really good, so that way the first time people see it, it's really good. I'm like, why the fuck would I even think that? Like, and that is one of the main reasons for me that I don't do things right away.
Yeah.
Like the reason why I procrastinated on this for 2 years was because I needed it to be really good. And even though like how it is now is a lot like the reason it's this way, if I would have just started when I should have, I probably wouldn't have had video and I should have just picked up a phone and started podcasting. Yeah. But I was like so obsessed with like, no, I need to have video. No, I need to make like
the lights and everything.
And even this is probably not going to be near as good as it will be. But like, if I would have,
but you have to start somewhere,
right? But if I would have started on my phone 2 years ago, I would have got lights in 6 months, and I would have, you know, like I probably would have progressed further than I am now. Like this is like a learning lesson for me.
So you grew up in a farm, like I did. I grew up in a farm.
Yeah.
You guys had well water, right?
Yeah, actually did.
So when you turn on the water outside and stuff, right? You turn it on from the pump, you get like the their water and mud comes out of the cloud. You have to let it run for a little bit to get the clean water.
Yeah.
That's literally what this is. You got to get all the gunk out. You got to get all the gunk out before you get the A material.
Yeah.
That's what everything. When it comes to the photos, when it comes to the DJs, when it comes to the podcast. I mean, I remember when I first started, like when I was in Twin, I'd be DJing sometimes at places, and people would not like my music. I was still learning.
Yeah.
I would be DJing, and I see people like kind of get up and leave, you know. And I really was one of those like, hey, dude, like, can you just put something else? I'm like, I feel so bad.
And even sex, man. Like, I had to get a lot of gunk out before I even got good.
That's all you, man.
Pee break. Okay. So that concept is something that I've thought a little bit about. But
which one?
The idea that like people kind of expect you to be really good at something when you start.
Right.
And I think you expect you.
Some people are born with that talent.
Right.
Like we were talking about. Some people, their cards are battled out and they're, you know, have the blessing of being amazing, like amazing singers, amazing actors, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But not the majority of the people don't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that is something that, like, we as somebody who wants to build something need to fight against. And I think I have to fight against it in my own self,
Right.
because I do, like, I have this perfectionism. Like, I want my first podcast to be perfect.
Right.
Fuck off. It's not going to be perfect.
Wow.
And I've noticed that in photography when I first picked it up.
Wow.
I would shoot around and, like, other photographers would be like, wow, well, that guy, like, really does this one mistake all the time.
Right.
Or I'll hear them talking about another new guy. I'm like, well, bro, he's fucking new. Bro, what? Like, of course he's not. Like, it's like asking a musician to learn how to shred the first time. You know, like, he has to learn his chords first.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've actually noticed it. I met some DJs recently, like, through this community, and some of them have been DJing for like 10 years, right?
Right.
And then they'll shit on someone who, like, has been DJing for, like, oh, well, like, their music is so basic. I'm like, yeah, they've only been DJing a year. What do you expect? Like, sorry that they haven't been DJing 10 years like you.
Yeah.
Like, they're gonna have to figure it out along the way. So I think there's this whole expectation, like, yeah, you're supposed to be really good.
And that's something that too, like, and there's one word that covers all that to me, keeps you grounded, being humble.
Yeah.
You gotta stay humble.
Yeah.
Whatever success gives you, man, you gotta be humble.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you never know when you're gonna hit rock bottom.
Mm-hmm.
You know, times can change, man. If you're a dick and then next thing you know you're fucking homeless, you're like, bro.
Yeah.
You gotta be humble, man.
Yeah, if you realize that, like, yeah, it just took work, and everything that you were given is still, like, yeah, maybe you worked for it, but it's still a blessing. Like,
yeah, it is a blessing.
If you notice that a lot of people that are really successful, they will still say, like, yeah, I worked really hard, but also I got really lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Like, almost all of them that are really, like, achieved a lot of stuff.
Right.
Almost all of, like, the really good ones that are humble, whether it's an actor, whether it's a musician, they're like, yeah, like, I worked my ass off, but I also got really lucky.
Yeah. So one of the things I remember reading, I can't remember, it was a Mexican boxer that his dad was a big time Mexican boxer, like a huge Mexican boxer, and obviously he grew up and became a Mexican boxer, you know, and he's like, my upbringing wasn't even remotely as hard as my dad's.
Right.
My dad lived through poverty. My dad went into boxing because that's the only way he can make money.
Right.
Couple bucks here and there, and then he got really good.
Yeah.
Got better, more money, and then eventually he got became world champion. He's making millions. And, you know, my life was different. He's like, he's like, that was my blessing that I was born into that. He's like, but for me to be successful, like, I had to come out of my dad's shadow, and I had to work my ass off because my dad set the bar.
Yeah.
So now I had to go above that bar.
Yeah.
You know, versus other people aren't compared to the same level.
Right.
Which it could be different, seem different, but yes, I didn't struggle as far as poverty, but I had to struggle to get out of that shadow.
Yeah.
And I totally get that. I was like, that's a valid point. Because some people won't do that. Some people are like, whatever, I'm just gonna ride this. Yeah. You know, I was born into this privileged life. I'm just gonna ride it.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and then there's also, like, if you think about, if you were born into, like, if you're that Mexican boxer who's born into this dad's shadow, so you obviously have a successful parent who helps you. So that's still a blessing. Like, if you were another person who was poor and didn't have someone who taught you boxing, you might not even have an avenue out.
Correct.
So, like, that's another struggle for, like, some people. Like, my dad didn't know how to get out of poverty. Right. So now I don't know how to get out of poverty. Right. So, like, they're not blessed with the same, like, at least path forward. Right. You know, it's like, you know, when people, like, there's certain football players, their dad were a football player, you know, so, like, they have a dad who did the thing. So it's like a blessing and a curse. So they have to deal with the shadow, but they also have the path forward, and then they can move.
They have the tools. They have this.
But, like, there's a lot of people that want to play football, but they don't have the path forward. They don't have the right coaching. They don't have the whatever. And so and there's a ton of people that don't make it. They wanted it, but, like, they didn't have those blessings.
So you have to have the right certain, I guess, things in play to make you be that next
Yeah.
successful person because, A, you may not have the resources, but you may have the drive.
Yeah.
You know, you may have that one thing that pushes you to say, fuck it.
Yeah.
Whether it's knocking up your girlfriend or, you know, your parents die and now you're the breadwinner and it's like, oh shit, now I got to really get it in here. So it could be a lot of things, but yeah, you know, it's different for everybody.
Yeah.
You know?
And I would say, yeah, staying humble. Because, like, for example, I didn't grow up rich. I grew up pretty poor.
Mhm.
My parents aren't successful, and it's that sort of like a stretch. So, like, when I become successful, and I mean, in a lot of ways, I feel like I already am. You know, it's just like I have a really good job.
Yeah.
I get to do what I want.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like when I think about like when I make it, I'm like, actually, I might have already made it. You know,
Yeah.
like in some
and
ways.
that's the thing, though, like I was literally thinking about that the other day. Like when I was thinking about when I compare myself where I'm at in life with my other friends and stuff like that, and then I compare where I am right now. I mean, it was crazy. The other day I was sleeping and I don't always go to church.
Yeah.
You know, and it's been a long time since I've been to church. Just to go to church. Typically, when I go to a church now, it's whether it's a wedding, first communion, or baptism, whatever the case is. But I still pray.
Yeah.
I pray, and a lot of times I pray because I'm grateful. You know, I'm grateful. Had a good day or whatever. But majority of times I pray because I'm scared of something.
Yeah.
Something's going on in my life. Something's going on with my friends. Something's going on with family, and I'll pray.
Right.
And every time I drive and I hit the freeway, whether I'm going to Twin, whether I'm going to Namp or whatever, I bless myself. I always do. But the other day, I don't know, like when I go to bed, I don't always pray, but when it hits me to pray, I just pray. Because it's like, it got into my mind, why would I not pray?
Right.
So I'll pray whatever comes to mind. And it was the first time it came to my mind in a long time, actually, ever, to be honest. Because usually when I pray, I go to my family, pray for my family, I pray for my friends, I pray for you, I pray for everything, you know? But for the first time in my life, one day, probably about maybe a month ago, I prayed that I was grateful for having the job that I have.
Yeah.
And I was like, help me count my blessings, help me not lose sight of the fact that I have a good job. Because if it wasn't for this job, I wouldn't be able to afford things that I do.
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to afford things that I have. Wouldn't be able to afford to get like a haircut every 9, 10 days that I do, and the clothes that I wear. And I was like,
You get a haircut every 9 days.
9, 10 days.
Damn.
It's like $35, you know. And I was like, you know, and it is. I mean, and some people I've known people that's guys, you know, they'll get their haircut once a month. And, you know, they'll pay like $15, and I'm like, fuck that, you know. So it's spoiled, and I'm spoiling myself, and that's what I told myself. I wouldn't be able to do that if it wasn't for the job that I had. And it was like, and I was, you know, talking to God, and I was like, please help me not lose sight of that, and help me stay humble. And I'm counting my blessings, and I thank you for making me who I am, and having my family, and having my friends that I have to make me who I am, because I want to count my blessings. But that was one of those things that I was like, I never really would have prayed for that. You know, I thought about that. As far as a 20-year-old teen, even 25-year-old, I never would have done that.
Yeah.
Now that I'm in my 30s, I thought about that. I was like, all right, this is the foundation of my livelihood right now, you know? And I've had a lot of opportunities in life. And I've gone to a lot of places, and I've done a lot of things because I do have a job.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you gotta count your blessings.
Yeah, dude. It's wild. It's like it's a lot of perspective.
Mhm.
And you know how they say like you can't if you compare yourselves, it's like comparison is a thief of all joy.
We're recording all those, right?
We're getting into the heart and soul.
Now I'm getting in deep.
Shit. No, dude, it's all good. Yeah. So you know how they say like comparison is the thief of all joy,
Right.
and that can be true, but I also think that it depends on what you're comparing to,
Right.
because if you
Not all comparisons are bad.
right, like so if you're comparing yourself to everyone that everything you don't have, then that's going to take your joy.
Right.
But if you compare yourself to all the people who have less than you, and you realize how much you have compared, then it actually helps you. So it matters like who you're.
And it literally so that same day at work, I helped this lady that was homeless, and she was trying to get her money, and I don't want to talk bad about my coworkers, but she went to one teller, and the teller kind of like brushed her off. Like, oh, you gotta call this number, do whatever.
Right.
And she's like, oh, my phone isn't working. I can't call.
Right.
So like, okay, well, you can go to the shelter, use their phone number. She's like, well, I walked here. I don't have any money for a bus pass because all my money's in the card, and I can't get access to my card because it's locked. And so then I was like, hey, come here, let me help you.
Yeah.
And it still sucks to think about it. She walked to where I was at, and she fell down
Oh shit.
because she had slept outside the whole time, and so her legs were stiff, and
That's
they weren't warming up. And
That's
so
fine.
I felt so bad, and I helped her. And she was homeless, so
Yeah.
obviously the BO and whatever, I didn't care, bro. I grabbed her. I'm like, here, let me help you. Let me help you sit down.
Yeah.
She took a little bit. I'm like, here, let's call together. We called her. We got her card activated. Everything was good.
Yeah.
She was able to get money, and then boom, she was able to get a bus pass, get a car, or her phone turned on again, and everything was fine. But I was like, man, like it's crazy that like again, I don't want to talk bad about my coworkers, but they just like brushed you off, And even though, and I don't know if it's human nature, but people are so easily to dismiss the homeless or the less
Sure.
privileged or whatever, but yet we'll be so grateful to feed a dog in the street or a bird or an animal,
Yeah.
Maybe it's because they don't have like a conscience like we do, a right and wrong, whatever, but it's still a human being, man. And I felt bad. And that was the same night that I had that whole thing with counting my blessings because I was like, I could have taken so many wrong turns in my life that I could have been that person too.
Yeah.
But I'm so grateful that I didn't. Dude, it's crazy, huh? Here, bro.
There is this thing. There's something else I want to say too, but I noticed this thing kind of recently. Speaking of like, we would help a dog or a bird, but we are less likely to have like a human in need.
Yes,
And I
it's
think
crazy how that is, huh?
I think it's like part of me thinks it's like cuteness factors.
Right.
Like we would be happy to like give attention to your dog because he's cute, even though he probably still needs all of our help. Like he can't do anything on his own.
Right.
But like we won't help a homeless person because they're not cute to us. We're like
That makes sense.
maybe I don't know. Like I'm literally speculating on this.
I mean, that makes sense, though.
One of the things that I realized is that I used to shit on people that needed attention. And I mean, I still do in a lot of ways. I'm like, God, fucking damn it! They're so desperate for attention. Like all that, like they can't handle it if like we don't pay attention to them, and it annoys me.
Yeah.
But then if I see a dog who's desperate for attention, I'm like, oh, you just love attention, don't you? And like we love it.
Yeah.
Like why? Why do we shit on humans
I don't
that
know.
just want attention from another human, but then a dog that like I'm like, part of me is just like learn lessons from dogs or like learn this lesson because I need to be favorable to a person who just needs attention, just like I would a dog. Maybe their life has given them circumstances where all they need is just a little attention. And what was I doing for the last 35 years is being a dick to this person who's like, wow, you just need attention, good job. Like.
So the thing is that
Very weird.
So I thought about that too for a long time. And again, like that's the day I had that day when I prayed and stuff. But it still bugged me for days after, And I thought about it, and the only conclusion that I came up with was that when I see a person begging for money, I put myself in their position.
Yeah.
And I say, I could have done things different. Why couldn't you?
Yeah.
That's why. But with an animal, like a dog doesn't have a choice.
Right.
Doesn't have a choice who their owner is.
Sure.
Doesn't have a choice for this and that. They have to scavenge for food every day.
Yeah.
They can't actually, talk and say, hey, I need this, I need that.
Yeah.
Versus the human can, So, in that, my mind is like, okay, the dog would have more of an opportunity.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, not the dog, but a human would have more of an opportunity to advance himself because they could be like, hey, screw this. I'm not going to beg for money. I'm going to go work. Yeah. And there's so many other reasons why somebody wouldn't be able to work. Maybe it's the awkward, mental illness, whatever. So I'm not putting anybody down for begging for money. I mean, I never would, but that social consciousness, I guess, maybe that whole perception of a homeless person that, hey, you you had the choice of getting into addiction, or you had the choice of running away from home, but you didn't. So now you're homeless. So that's why I'm not going to give you money. Versus this dog, he didn't have a choice, so I'm going to give this dog more attention. So maybe that's what it was.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I really sat down and thought about that because that day, like I said, when I saw the way my coworkers treated that lady, and she was a nice lady, man. She was just going through that time, bro. Her legs were so cold that she couldn't even walk.
Dude, that's it's always. I mean, it's been a really hard thing for like our society to deal with is like homeless populations.
Yeah.
And like one of the things that personally I struggle with, is just like how do you evaluate who is going to just go do more drugs and who is going to use it to get like so there's that argument in your brain, right? So you're just like, well, yeah, I mean, I want to do good. I want to be a philanthropist, or I want to like help people out, but I don't just want to shovel my money into somebody's drugs. So then you like, when you drive up to that intersection and somebody's asking for help,
right?
You're like, am I giving them food right now, or am I giving them like an option to drink more?
So it's crazy. So one of the things that my mom told me when the first time we went to Mexico, I was born in Mexico, but I never went back to Mexico until I was a lot older. 10, I think it was 10. And my mom told me, you're going to see a lot of people beg for money in Mexico. Don't give them money.
Yeah.
She's like, in Mexico, your heart is going to get cold.
Yeah.
Because you can't give everybody money.
Right.
She's like, if they're hungry, we will buy them food.
Yeah.
But we're only going to buy them food.
Right.
So, and it was crazy because that's what my mom told me. But I was like, all right, cool. I was like, whatever. Until we got to where we're from and we hung up with my grandma. We're in the town we're from. In the town we're from, there's not any homelessness, because it's like a little ranch.
Right.
Everything was cool. And then we'd go to the big city and we see a lot of homeless people. And I remember one time we're at the farmer's market, right? We're eating and stuff, and this little kid came up and he was asking for money. And my grandma was like, no, I will buy you food. Like, whatever you want here, I will buy. He's like, oh, I don't want food. I want money. When my grandma's like, I'm not going to buy food.
Yeah.
I'll buy, I'm not going to give you money. I'll buy you food.
Right.
And then my mom was like, she just went like that to his money. Like, this is exactly what I'm talking about. He's like, no, I want money.
Yeah.
My grandma was like, no, I'm not going to give you money. So eventually he left. But then he went back to I don't know if it was his mom or his guardian or whatever, but yeah, they looked like they were drunk or something.
Yeah.
It's like they
hustling their kids.
Yeah, they were hustling their kids, So it wasn't the kids' fault,
Right. And it's also
that's what it was that your heart gets cold.
And that's what's so frustrating, because if you see that, maybe that's 70% of the time.
Yeah.
But then the 30% of the time somebody actually needs it, and then you're cold.
And I'll tell you this other story.
And then that's frustrating because I'll tell you, I might be
and I'll tell you this other story, man. And it's crazy because that's when I was 10, and I saw that and I was like, all right, cool, I get that. And then my parents, they would always buy vehicles and at auctions, and they bring them back to Twin, and we sell them and stuff. And I remember one time I went to Colorado, me and my dad. I was probably 15, 16 or something like that. And we get to Littleton, Colorado, which is maybe an hour, 45 minutes south of Denver.
Right.
And we get there and it's 10 p.m. And we're getting a hotel because the auction the next day is 6 a.m. But we're hungry. So we go out to this street market or whatever and we order food and stuff. We're sitting outside and there's this guy and he's asking people for money, because he's telling them in Spanish, hey, can I get some money? I'm trying to get some food and this and that. And everybody's just ignoring me. And then eventually he makes his way to us because we're eating outside. And he's like, hey guys, I'm not trying to bug you, but if you're not going to finish your food, can I have your leftover beans, your leftover rice?
Right.
And my dad actually tells him, are you hungry? He's like, yes, I'm starving. He's like, all right, dude. He's like, I'll buy you food.
Yeah.
He's like, whatever you want. He's like, are you serious? He's like, yeah, whatever you want. Let's go. And so my dad goes with him. I'm kind of okay. So the guy was genuinely hungry.
Yeah.
So he goes in there, he orders food, he comes out. My dad's to sit with us, And he's telling us his life story, man, that he was illegal.
Mm-hmm.
He was a guy that was illegal. He had crossed the border and the coyotes left him in the middle of like Arizona or something.
Yeah.
So he only had like I think like $50 left. So he got Greyhound to Denver because that's where his family was at. But he didn't know their address. He didn't
Yeah.
know where they were at. He didn't know anything. But he just knew that they were in Denver. He made it to Littleton, you know. But he ran out of money because all his money was left for
Yeah.
the to get to there. You
Yeah.
know? He didn't have their phone number. He didn't have nothing, you know. But he was out of money. He was hungry.
Yeah.
And so my dad had him like sit down and say, "Hey, dude, like eat with us." You know, he was telling us everything, and I felt bad, man, because the guy started crying. You know, and he was eating. He's like, "Thank you. Like I've been here since I think he said like 3, and it was like 10 p.m. when we showed up." He's like, and nobody wanted to help. He's like, and so my dad bought him food, and we talked to him. We bought him more food for him to take. My dad even gave him $100.
Yeah.
Like, hey, man, like obviously, like you are obviously trying
Yeah.
to get out of whatever situation you're in, trying to better yourself.
Yeah.
And so you gave him $100, bought him more food, fed him there.
Yeah.
And actually, like, that was to me was one of those things that I was like. I mean, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. My dad's not the best person. Me and my dad have had our issues, but that was one of those things I was like, dude. I looked at
Yeah.
that and I was like, that was cool, my dad.
Yeah.
That was an example that was cool, man. And I don't care about politics. I don't care about being legal or whatever. But that was somebody that was gonna die or gonna do something, man. And I felt bad, man. That's called human nature,
Yeah.
man. You take care of people, man.
That's what's crazy.
Yeah.
It's like there's this man. It's like this push and pull because it's like the boy who cried wolf. So like this happens in a lot of areas, but it's like in homelessness, the boy who
Yeah.
cried wolf. There's too many people that are crying wolf,
Right.
and then they use it for like booze or whatever, and then
Yeah.
some people get burnt, jaded, whatever. But there's legitimate people who have the
Being
wolf,
honest,
right?
yeah.
Like there's legitimate people who need the help, but society gets burnt on the other
Yeah.
people. So like, well, fuck, no, I'm not gonna help you. So like, parsing that is really hard. It's like
Yeah.
a social dilemma that we have to struggle with. But
And that was one of those things. Like my parents always said, like we're not gonna give people money. We're just giving them food.
yeah,
And then when
and that's a really good way to look at it.
yeah. And
Just
when my
ask
dad's
the
like,
person,
hey,
can I buy you food? And
Well,
if
my
they
dad
say
said, "I'll buy
no,
you food." He's like, "Yes, please.
Yeah.
Like, buy me food." And he
It's a good
was
way to
hungry and
price it.
said, "Hey, I'll buy you more food to take with you."
Mm,
Yeah. And then when the guy was being honest, he's like, you can just tell that he was being honest, man. He was like, "I'm lost.
yeah,
My family's out here somewhere. I don't know where they are." And then my dad gave me money. He was like, "Dude,
yeah.
that's cool." I had mad respect for my dad.
Well, and to go back to like what we're like, kind of where that was brought from is like being thankful and being humble. Because like I think that I came from like low level beginnings and I didn't have a lot of opportunity. I grew up on a farm. My dad was poor. He didn't teach me a lot of life. Like he taught me some life lessons.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Dad's listening to it. Sorry, but he taught me some good shit. But like he didn't know how to
Yeah.
be successful. Like my mom didn't know how to be successful. Like they
Yeah.
didn't teach me the things.
Right.
I learned them on my own. So like I could think to myself, "Oh, I got this all on my own."
Yeah.
But at the same time, I have to be really aware and thankful and like humble the fact that like I could have been born
Yeah.
in that family in Mexico, in that family in Guatemala where like I would have like never got to even chase these opportunities.
Right.
Like
yeah.
there are people that are born in such poverty
That
they
yeah.
will never get the chance.
Nobody's got to claim our blessings.
Yeah, like do you think that they're gonna get a chance to when they're 25 be like, I want to be a DJ?
Yeah.
Bullshit. Like they're still like,
But I gotta put food on the table.
yeah. That's
No,
actually,
so with like you and your dad and your parents and stuff, obviously they're hard workers, right?
Yeah.
They embedded that in you,
Yeah.
right? And so it's still being humble.
Yeah.
And that's what they transfer to you. But that's like generations after a while, and then obviously you're gonna be much more successful. Not saying that they weren't,
Yeah.
but with the cause that they were dealt with, they did the best they
oh,
can,
for sure.
and they got you, and you're gonna do the best you can with what you have.
To be
the
fair,
next generation and the next generation.
what I also say, or what I think is, like this idea of like chasing meaning or chasing like what like more in life.
Right.
I think that we in this generation are the first or second generation to actually even have the option of this.
Right.
So, for example, like you and I, like say I work as a bartender for the rest of my life, and say you work as a banker for the rest of your life, and you're like, dude, I wish I did something more, and like all of our society says you need to find meaning in your life. I believe it. I like the idea of like you need to find something that really you value.
Yeah.
But before 50 years ago,
It wasn't like that.
in like for thousands of years before, no one got the option
hunter gatherer. Yeah.
You should do something more with your life. You should chase music.
I'm sure if you were asked your dad, like, hey, dad, if you could have been chase your dream, it would have been something else. He could have been like, oh, I wish I would have been a pilot.
Yeah, and maybe my dad had that option, but I guarantee my grandpa did not have that option, and his dad did not. Like, if you were to look in the 1800s, no one got to chase their dream. Like
that wasn't even a thing.
I mean, yes, very select few. You know, of course, there was still somebody that did the opera, but like in general, like no one got to be like, you know what? I'm really passionate about Star Wars, and I want to make a podcast, or like even think about like filmmakers. Like filmmakers only existed in the last 100 years. Like, so if my dream is to make film, that is a dream that only existed in the last 100 years.
Yeah.
So like for decades, or I'm sorry, for like millennia, like people born 2,000 years ago, what is your dream? Staying alive. Like that was like your
having a family.
Staying alive. Yeah, like because it was so terrible. Like not terrible.
It's so crazy when you think about it that like what we have now versus like even 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And in the whole timeline of humans, 50 years ago was a small window.
Yeah.
But yet now within
50 years ago it was still segregation.
That's what I'm saying. Like in this country, segregation was still the thing. But now 50 years ago now, like we have the opportunity to like be a lot more.
Anything we want.
Exactly, you know, so
that's a blessing.
There is a word for
blessing in its own.
I don't remember what it is, but there's a word for it where people, it's called something when you believe that whatever year and timeline that you're in and you're living is the best in ever. Because if we rewind the clock 50 years, right?
Yeah.
And they look back at their time, they rewind at 50 years, like, oh, we didn't have electricity.
Yeah.
We didn't have running cars, right?
Yeah.
But then you rewind the clock to them, they're like, 50 years from that, like, oh, yeah, well, we didn't have vaccines, we didn't have that, you know?
Right.
So we see them, like, oh, ours is better. But 50 years from now,
oh, yeah,
they'll be like, oh, yeah, these guys suck. Ours is better. There's a word for that. I can't remember what it is. There's an actual word saying that describes that your timeline of your life, that you think that it's the best because you don't know anything else. But that is true. That's how I feel.
I would say that speaking to that, it is better to look at the world that way than like, because some people look at the world. It was way better 30 years ago, and I'm like, I think it's better to look at the world that way. No, things are getting better. Like, and obviously, it doesn't always get better, but like, look, we have so many more like opportunities, options, like. Things that like we have air conditioning now. They didn't then. You know, like there's all.
But there's obviously there's pros and cons.
For sure, there always is. Yeah. But in general, if you can look at society as like, dude, life is getting better, and like we can make a better life for the people that like going next to it, like behind us.
Yeah.
Versus being those people that are like, no, it was way better when I was a kid.
Back when I was a kid.
Yeah. I never want to like fall into that.
And I get that. I mean, when I think, and I get this all the time at the bank, you know, because I get a lot of my customers that, you know, are seniors, you know, and they're uncomfortable with the way society is today. And they say stuff like, oh, when I was a kid or back in my days, it was different, you know. And that was their comfort, you know. But things change, you know, and change is inevitable. And they don't embrace change. They're stuck in their ways. And that's what it is. But I'm pretty sure I am going to be the same way when I'm their age, you know.
You're going to be because they're them, or you're the same as you?
Well, I don't know.
So here's what I think it is. I think that they're uncomfortable with change.
Yeah.
So what I've determined is I want to be comfortable with change. So,
but to me, it's like this. Check it out. So the customers that I talk to now that are saying, "Oh, back in my days, are the same customers that went through segregation.
Yeah.
That was a huge change.
Yeah.
Like, you guys should know change, but yet they're still saying, well, back in my days, things were like, So what do you mean? Was it before segregation?
It's very strange.
So
Yeah.
I'm like,
there's this thing that, like, I don't know, and I'm obviously not to that, like, age, but
yeah.
I've always seen, I've seen it in myself, even in my 30s. I have this concept, this might be weird, but there's these two paths that I'm going to live.
Mhm.
I'm going to be a grumpy old man, or I'm going to be a happy old man.
Yeah.
And there are points in my life where I can feel myself slipping into one.
Me too.
And I can feel myself start to get jaded. I'm like, I don't like that. People started to upset me. And I start getting really angry. And I'm like, I'm slipping into grumpy old man Josh. And if I continue this path, 70-year-old Josh will be like, I will be the angriest. So I'm like,
I've been the same way.
And so, but you have to constantly notice and shift and be like, no, be grateful, be thankful, change. But I have seen old men that are extremely happy and just like.
And I've seen that too at the bank, bro. I'm like, dude, you like cool.
Like, that's the dude that I want to be when I'm old, not that guy. And there's this other thing that like kind of along that lines, but like it's like when parents are like, oh, this new thing is going to damage our teenagers. Have you ever, like, you know, whether it's like,
multiple times,
like the internet or whatever. You know that they were saying that about cars when they first came out? They were saying that about cell phones. They used to say it about, like, I mean, it was like all
it's
of these
changed.
things.
It's all
changed. Like,
changed.
when cars first came out, parents would not let their teenagers have cars. Like, if we let our teenagers have cars,
it'll be out of control.
It's going to be out of control. It's going to be, hey, you know, like, so that has always been a thing with the new technology.
Yeah.
And when we realize
it's just changed.
Yeah, it's just
changed.
changed.
Very changed, man.
But yeah.
I have to get a beaver, bro. Oh man. I broke the seal.
No, dude, you're good. Me too. I pee all the time. Oh, this has been a good one.
You and I have always had this conversation where it's very deep and very creative. You know, and that's why I love, you know, having these conversations with you, man. So when you brought up the fact that, you know, hey, I want to do a fucking podcast with you, I was excited, man, because we have good conversations, man. I do, man.
And so I hope that I definitely like when I'm starting out. So I'm starting out in my close circle.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, if you're down to podcast again, I mean,
absolutely,
you might be on in like 3 weeks.
I'm more than happy to be down.
Yeah. And what I realized about like the first podcast was like, first off, I mean, I don't know who's gonna be listening to these. I mean, it could be like me, you, and one other person.
I mean, I might get fired from work.
Well, no science people.
I mean, it is what it is, man. Yeah. I'm an adult, and it is what it is. I don't.
Yeah. Well, there's a few things, like, there's some people that I want to podcast with that were like, hey, just so you know, like, I would love to podcast, but I can't talk about this. Because I basically have, like, no holds barred, like, But if I know that going into it, you're like, hey, I don't want to talk about this, and like, I would obviously shelve it. Yeah. But in general, I was like, I don't really, like, podcasts don't get listened to overnight, right? Like, no. This podcast is going to take some time to build up. So these first ones, pretty, like, it's probably,
if it comes out, it comes out. But you gotta send this to me, bro.
Oh, I'm definitely still putting it out, and I'm like, I still will post them.
Yeah.
It's still like, I don't think that if I were to think of, you know, I have 2,000 people that follow me on Facebook or whatever, but like, or 800 on Instagram. Like, I don't think that those amount of people are gonna listen to it. It might be 2, it might be 3, you know. Right. But you know, as it builds in the year, like that we're talking about. Like, then it might be 300, you know, like, then it's bigger. But, like, then we're better, you know, we're, so.
It'll happen, bro.
Right there.
Cheers, brother. Salud. That's good tequila, bro.
That Corleone?
Somebody got.
Oh, it's jazz. I think so. Yeah, it's jazz. The one thing I didn't do with, or I forgot about, but like me and Emma when we talked, like we didn't talk at all about our friendship, but just for anyone who is listening, like Severo, this my man is like literally my oldest friend in Boise. I think of somebody I hang out that's longer than him. I don't know.
I don't know.
But
and I've always said it multiple times, man. I don't know if I ever am gonna get married. If I do get married, you are gonna be in my wedding, bro, because that's how much you mean to me, bro. That to me, when somebody gets married and you have your bridesmaids, your groomsmen, whatever, is those are the people that mold you who you are, right?
Yeah.
And it's like I never want to lose them, you know, because they made me who I am now to this point. And obviously, I'm the best of I am. Yeah. That's why I'm getting married because she chose me. Yeah. So to you, bro, I'm telling you, like that's what it is. So that's how much you mean to me, bro. I don't know if it's ever gonna happen.
If I'm not in it, I better shoot
it. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, no, dude, you've been one of my longest friends. Crazy. I was thinking about when I visited Luke. Luke is probably the longest friend that I stay in touch with.
Right.
He's like 15 years.
Right.
We don't see each other that often, but like ever since I moved to Boise, like you were I had a couple friends before you, but they were shit.
Been gone out, yeah.
It was like whatever, but yeah, you're the person that's been on.
Appreciate it, brother.
Yeah, man.
You're my buddy.
It's interesting too. I mean, you've had multiple jobs.
Yeah.
And sometimes you keep one person for the job, sometimes you keep no one. And like every once in a while, I'll bump into someone from P.F. Chang's, and they'll be like, "Do you hang out with P.F. Chang's?" I was like, "Severo," and I was like, I still fucking kick it with Severo all the time. And like every once in a while, I'll hang out with Michelle.
Yeah.
I don't know if you remember her.
I remember Michelle. Yeah.
But like really, there's like Ryan Lee. Every once in a blue, he'll float in and out, but he's not like a friend.
So I still have Taylor. Taylor
Serby?
Yeah. Social media, and then Jamie.
Yeah.
They're really cool, man.
But like, do you like?
I've been to parties close to Jamie's and she show up and stuff like, but never like me and you.
Yeah.
Besides, it's me and you. Me and you are bros, bro. We're not homies, we're brothers. I consider you a brother.
Like that's
and then Cameron, and I still love Cameron. Yeah. But he's always doing his own thing,
you know. He's still someone that I could still connect with for sure.
So like I said, if I was to go to Vegas, he's like, "Hey, you come stay with me, bro." Like
that time when he like came on the boat with us. It was just like it'd been a while.
That was dope, man. Yeah, that was dope, man. Yeah.
But there's been restaurants that I don't stay in touch with anyone, and then there's restaurants where it's just like there's one person that like I just
stands out.
Yeah, and like the only other people that are still homies like Raven and Paige.
I remember them. I remember Raven.
Hanging out like because they're in Florida, but like when they come to visit,
how are they doing?
They're good.
They got married, right?
No, but they live together and they're in Florida. But so last time they came up, it's probably 8 months ago now.
Yeah, good for them.
But like they hit me up, you know, like we like see each other. I need to go visit them, but like so they're still homies.
Yeah,
but like. It's just interesting to watch, like, everyone else falls by the wayside.
Right. I mean, and so, even with me, bro, like, I was in Twin for a long time, and I had a lot of homies there, and ever since I moved to Boise, I really don't hang out with them much. Not because I consider them less of a friend, it's just because they're always doing their own thing, and I'm always doing my thing, you know? I used to hit them up when I go to Twin, we used to hang out, but now they're all, like, in relationships and married. But when I go down to Twin, they're always doing something else. I'm just gonna go visit my mom and I'm out.
Yeah.
You know, and if they come to Boise, they're going to like a quick little chip and cheese thing, and they're out. You know.
Yeah.
And so there's no animosity. You know, it's just that's life. That's just what life is. You know, it's not.
And that's where I was like, there's certain people that, for whatever rhyme or reason, you will stay with them like longer, and there's other people that don't fall by the wayside. And that doesn't mean ill on anyone. Like it's not anything to say that these people are bad, these people are good.
Yeah.
It's just certain people that
they'll stay in your circle.
You will connect, and you will always stay. And like, there's some people that like Luke, who I've known for 15 years. I could not talk to him for 2 years.
Yeah.
And then I see him, and we will reconnect
like normal, right?
Fucking.
So I don't know. You know my boy Paco.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so when I moved to Twin Falls from Cali, 5th grade. That's when I met Pablo. So how old you? In 5th grade, you were like what, 12, something like that, 11, 12.
5th grade for you?
5th grade for everybody. Dick. Whatever how old you are in 5th grade.
I would be like 10.
That's how old I was when I met Pablo.
Okay.
And let's call it 11, right?
Yeah.
So it's called. So when I was 21, that was already 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. 11.
No, that was 10 years. 10 years.
That's 10 years.
So when I was 31, that was 20 years.
20 years.
And now I'm going to be 30.
I'm really good at math.
I'm gonna be 35. That's how long I've been friends with Pop.
Yeah.
You know, and that's one of my best friends, my first friend ever, man. And I love him. His family loves me. His mom and my mom are BFFs. And we've been through. Oh yeah, dude. I introduced him to the love of his life, and her and I, Lorena, we're really good friends too, man. We've been friends. So I met Paco when we were like in 5th grade, and then I met her when I was like in 8th and 9th grade, and we've been friends too, man. And so I pride myself in having people that want to be in my life, and want to be in that life for a long time, because my rap sheet shows that, you know, like I've met people and I take care of them, take care of me, and they've been in my life, you know. So
yeah, dude, you know, it's so crazy, like the connections that. So I've met your entire circle through you, obviously. Like, but when I was camping in Goat Lake, and I met forget
Esteban.
Dude, I'm like out in the middle of nowhere, Idaho, like going through the ringer, taking some psychedelics, just like way out there.
You fucking almost died.
I almost died. Well, this is after I met him, but it's just like meeting this dude, and he's a homie. Like,
how did that come about,
dude? So okay, quick story. So I wanted to go camping. Me and Ivy were gonna go camping somewhere. She couldn't do it, so I was just like, "Watch, I want to go camping." So I decided to go Lake. Looked pretty. It was one of the hardest hikes I've ever been on. I would say the hardest. So hike way up into Sawtooth, and I had brought. This is my first time camping by myself and first time hiking camping. So I've always done like car camping. Right. You drive up, like bring your tent, blow up your mattress, etc. Right. So I had bought all the stuff, but I like packed way too much stuff, like anyone does. Brought my camera and everything, so it's heavy as fuck. Yeah. So like I'm dying. Bring it all up there, and got up there. Had a really good night by myself. And then the next day, I like hung around, and that night I met Esteban, and he was just like camping up the way. He had done the same thing, brought all of his own gear. He had a camera, so he was like taking pictures. But like he brought a fucking 6-pack of beer. Yeah. I'm like, dude, how do you have enough? Like, I was like trying to like slim down my bag, and I didn't, but like I had all this stuff. I'm like, you brought a pistol and a 6-pack of beer? Like, it's way too much shit to bring up. So he was like, do you want some? So we like shared a beer or two together and stuff. So we hung out. But so we exchanged Instagrams, and then the next morning we left. And it wasn't until like a couple days later where he like hit me up. He's like, bro, I didn't like, you're friends with Severo? Because you know how you see it on Instagram. He's like, yeah, I grew up next to him. I'm like, no way. And I was like, dude, I'm like, crazy thing. I almost died coming off that mountain. He's like, wait, what? But apparently I'm the dumb one who doesn't know GPS and figuring out mountains down going down the mountain.
I'm calling right now. The answers.
That would actually be wild.
The answers.
We're calling Esteban.
Esteban Chapa. We just call him Chapa.
Oh yeah, that's how he introduced himself as Chapa.
He goes by Chapa. Yeah. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
It's only 11. Come on, Chapa.
God damn it.
Motherfuckers.
No, he's a cool guy, but damn it. Everyone answers.
Like, you're going to be on our podcast. Oh, well.
Not a small world, man.
No, dude, that was wild.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, that was a moment where when I was coming down that mountain, like, I'm not religious, and I don't pray a lot, but when I was like slithering across this one like rock wall, and I was like, if I slip, I'm going to slide off. There was like this 300-foot cliff.
Damn.
And I was like, I'm trying to scale across it. And I like that was those moments. I was like, please, I just don't want to die. I just don't want to. Like, I'm not ready. Like, I'm like, I'm too young. Like, I just want to get across. Please, like,
man.
whoever the fuck is out here, like, please, like, please help me. Like, and it was there.
Dude, that's very intense, man.
That was the closest I ever felt to death. Like,
Really?
like personally, like, have you ever felt like really close to death?
Yeah, I've been shot at.
See, there you go.
So-
See, I haven't.
I've been shot at, and
Oh
it was
shit!
yeah, that was really close to death because I was like hiding behind a car door, and the windows
Jesus,
were getting blown out.
were you praying?
I didn't have time, but it was so fast. I was just trying not to get killed. So I was like, so it was like hidden, and I was like down, and I hear like it's crawl, and it's like crawling away.
Jesus,
Man, it was wild.
yeah.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I guess that's the closest that I like to that position.
Yeah.
Just like there, any second here, I might die. Like
Yeah.
that's how I felt. It's like I might die.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wild. But those kind of moments, like obviously you either do die, and then
you realize,
it's over,
oh, shit.
or if you don't die, you're like, holy shit, like life, like what am I doing? Like it makes you like evaluate everything. And when I came off that mountain, I was just like, there is like I need to be doing like I need to be like really enjoying life or like
That's
really
totally.
yeah. Dude, it's fucking wild.
Crazy stuff, man.
All right, my dude.
Let's do it.
Let's call it.
Uh,
You want one more shot?
yeah, one more shot, bro.
All right. Well, to everyone who's listening, this is Severo. Do you want to plug anything?
Any what?
You want to plug anything? You want to plug your DJ Instagram?
I mean, it's not even there yet, but a year from now,
What's your?
things gonna be
Do you
different.
want to tell your DJ name or not?
It's not official,
Okay.
but I think it's gonna be DJ Sia. I don't even think I want to get the DJ in there. Just Sia.
I see.
But there's already Sia out there, so maybe it just might be Severo because there is no other Severo out there. It may be hard to pronounce, but it'll be worth it.
I know it took me all of year to pronounce it.
I said let's do it.
No, dude. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you, my dude. Love you. You're my brother, man.
Salud.
Salud.
Nobodies.